Gotcha. Okay, as usual, when we start out, what questions do we have from what we went over yesterday? Or anything else previous? Any questions at all about anything? Something you're not sure of, something you're not positive of.
Yeah. Well, we talked about the 3 different types of Bible or whatever. I was always taught, and I'm not sure if this is bullshit, which is why I'm asking, that when you add in the plasticized PVC, the recycled materials, it changes the chemical composition of the vinyl, and that's what causes it to work. Is that true?
And the short answer would be yes. The short answer would be yes. Any other questions? Something you're not sure of, something that doesn't make sense to you.
Terry, I got a question. I had it come up at the end of last year with a couple of homeowners of condensation resistance. And I looked it up. I figured kind of when people are like Googling stuff up here, I found a page that's put out by like the city of Portland that has a little breakdown on it. But I was wondering if you could maybe speak more to the measure of condensation resistance.
Condensation resistance. Be honest with you, I don't know how to answer that one. Not a conversation I've ever had to really get into with anybody. Unless it's being referred to as something different. Describe to me what you're trying to say.
So
I mean, yeah, Terry, in Portland, we've had a number of issues where people have older windows, and what ends up happening is because the windows are less efficient, the heat from inside of the house will radiate through the window, and in the morning, like dew and condensation doesn't build up on there. And then, people switch to our windows, especially on certain sides of the house. If there's like a garden bed underneath it or something, in the morning, they get condensation. They think it's a blown seal. So condensation resistance, I think, is a rating, but it's not on our NFRC stickers. It's just on a sample one that Shadow
yeah,
found.
and then this page that I found that I feel like when it's one of the top things that people are like seeing when they're coming up, it's listed here on the NFRC like breakdown right here, condensation resistance. There's not much in here about it, but I figured that's kind of where people are getting their like baseline info when they're doing their research.
Yeah, because see, condensation resistance, then number one, that was never on an NFRC label for many, many years. So that obviously is just starting. The typical 3 things that are on an NFRC label usually is U factor, solar heat gain, and visible light transmittance. Once in a blue moon, you'll see the DPI rating for wind, but not very often. I'm assuming what you're talking about then is when the condensation does appear on the window, but it appears on the outer glass on the outside, correct?
This one's talking about the formation of condensation on the interior surface. And it says the higher the CR rating, the better it is at resisting condensation formation.
Okay, so it'd be kind of like when you're boiling beans in the kitchen and the damn condensation gets on the window, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Same thing when you're taking a hot shower, condensation gets on the glass, doesn't necessarily mean the glass is failing. So typically when you see that, and I'm sure you tell me if this is the case, when you guys are running into that, you're running primarily most of that in the wintertime, yeah?
Yeah, it's usually when there's big temperature variance. It's like when it's really cold at night and then it gets really warm during the day quickly when the sun comes up. So right. It's not even the whole winter. It's more seasonally, like seasonal changes.
Yeah, I can't comment a whole lot about that. I mean, all I've ever told anybody is if it condensates on the inside glass like that, that's a good thing. That means the windows are doing what they're supposed to do. This is not something I even, when I went through the NFRC's deal, I didn't get trained on that at all because that wasn't a thing 30 years ago. So I don't really know how to answer that, to be honest with you. I'll look into it and I'll mess with it for the next few days and see what I can find out in my research or what it is I may know. But truth be told, I don't know how to answer that other than to say, hey, look, man, if it happens, that's a good thing. That means the damn thing is keeping what's inside in and what's outside out. There's just a big variance in temperature,
In Colorado, this happens to almost every home that we install. And it's because we have crazy temperature differentiation from, we'll have a 60-degree day and it'll go into negatives at night. And so that's our explanation as well. We've changed the thermal envelope in your home. We've sealed everything up. So what we've found though, because Scott tracks all of this, it only happens in the first year to 18 months and then it never happens again. So as the home starts to settle into that new thermal seal, that new envelope, you don't get it anymore. So that's one thing that I tell them. And there's always a very distinct pattern too. It's a perfect square inside the glass. You have like 2 inches of glass before you hit the frame, and it just happens in this nice little square. I've got tons of pictures. But you know, when we talk to them about it being a positive as well. Now that you're not losing any temperature or any, you know, there's no differentiation between air getting in and outside of the home. It gets stuck. But the other thing that we found is that it happens primarily in homes that have a humidifier attached to their heater or air conditioning system. And we just make sure that their humidifier is set under 30, and then it usually eliminates the problem.
Did you guys catch that? Did that help?
That was great.
I did something. All this time you've had me out here, and that was the real fucking reason right there.
Well, they're all shaking their head no though.
Oh, that's not fair.
So did you guys catch all that?
Yes, no, that was good.
Okay.
Yep.
So, again, something I'm certainly not familiar with. That doesn't happen very often, but that's certainly one for sure. Of course, in Tucson and Phoenix, in that area, we certainly wouldn't see that at all. You know, so I talked to my wife last night and I said, what's it like out there? She's, well, it's 66 degrees.
Oh my God, can we
You
go
know.
today?
So she says, how about you? I said, we're going to be 18 degrees tomorrow. You know, so, oh well. Anyway, any other questions? Sorry I couldn't answer any better for you, Shadow.
Oh, all good, all good.
Got our answer.
We like when you can't answer a question every once in a while. It means you're not a robot. We were starting to wonder.
Not a robot. What other questions? Anything? Anything about the presentation? Something you're not comfortable with? Something you're not sure about? Something you want to say, look, why the hell do we have to do this? I've never had to do this before. Any of that. Hold on. Yeah. Yes, the one down the street. Yes, so down Arizona, the one on the left-hand side. By Bosa Donuts and all that. Well, if you're coming from my crib, it's gonna be on the left. But you should see it there in that, oh, no, it's on the left side, that's right. Sorry, Home Depot on the right, it's the one with the Jack in the Box in the parking lot. Manuel's and all that, but yeah, it's that one. There's a red light there that says like Home Improvement Way. Something like that. Yeah, that's the one. All right, bye. You gotta go to the customer service at the front of the store. All right, bye. All right, sorry about that. He's trying to get ready for the home show and he's trying to find out all the places I've got stuff stashed for him to pick up. So anyway.
Consciousness.
So any questions at all? Anything? Again, something we're not sure about, anything. All right, then let us get into it. So as of now, let's go ahead and recap step 5 for a minute. Again, step 5, parts, pieces, and product. We want to start out with step 5, talking about the shopping statement. Since shopping is what we hear so much, the best thing to do would be to address it right away, you know? And typically the way I go about it is, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I would imagine you're probably like the average person. Average person meaning you want to make sure that you do all of your due diligence and your research, you know, and your shopping, if you will, to make sure you can get all the answers, you know, the most answers you can get to make the best decision for you and your family. Is that correct? Yes. Great. Let me see if I can help you. You know, You can research from now until the cows come home. It doesn't matter if you've got a family member that works for the CIA or the KBG or whatever, but here's what you're gonna find, right? There are 5 different types of frames. And then we wanna go ahead and go through those. So we explain the 5 different types of frames. We wanna make sure we give the pros and cons of everything, okay? Yes, you'll get some pushback here from some people from time to time. You will, all right? Well, I just wanna know what you do. I don't care about any of that. What do you guys do? You know, typically the way I answer it is, folks, you know, we are the factory. We can damn near do anything we want except for Fibrex. So let's get into this and figure out what's best for us. Okay. Through our pros and cons is where we'll dissuade people, right? If you're talking about aluminum windows, and hey, look, typically, folks, aluminum windows are something you can't put into. That's one of the cons because they don't meet the Energy Star requirements, things like that. You know, we're a more energy efficient nation. We're a lot more conscious of that now. So windows typically can't go in. So aluminum windows will automatically wash themselves out automatically, which will cover some of those people that are wanting to get aluminum windows. Again, I don't know if you guys in Portland and Salt Lake and even here in Seattle, if you guys have looked at it, but I can tell you for a fact, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, for a fact, if a window does not meet the Energy Star requirements, you cannot put that window in unless you're a do-it-yourselfer and you're doing it on your own and you're not pulling a permit.
In the Pacific Northwest.
They can. I've gone up against aluminum bids. I've lost a few jobs to aluminum windows because they were mid-century modern homes. They couldn't afford fiberglass, didn't want to fix the frames of like the E2 window, especially then. So they can for sure here.
Well, here's what I would say to that. Again, you know, I'm a firm believer, you know, you inspect what you expect because everybody is suspect. Okay. There is a big window factory in Dallas called Don Young Windows. And Don Young Windows primarily sells the 6063 T5 aluminum alloy thermally broken window. And they will sell windows out there. However, it is very clear there that you can't sell that window yet. You have people out there selling it anyway, aluminum windows anyway. Again, bank robbing is only bank robbing, and you only get in trouble if you get caught. So I would research it just to make sure, because again, other places are doing it. And what you're hoping is that they're not going to be able to do that. So when you're talking to some of these customers, you can show, hey, look, not a window we're supposed to be putting in here. Here's why. You know, it's just not as energy efficient as it's supposed to be. But you may find out that is 100% correct. You can do it. And well, if they do, they do. I'm just saying you should always look into it first, so to see if there's a way you can combat that. But in either case, taking the customer through the pros and the cons of everything is certainly something we need to make sure that we're doing. We get them through that. We want to make sure we ask our closing question of the 5 different types of frames, which one would you believe best, which would be best for you. And then once we get our answer, typically it should be ours more often than not. Then out of curiosity, why not any of the others? And make them tell you. You cannot get away with just getting your ego stroked when one of them says, well, you know, you've done just such a great job, Tanner. You know, you explain windows like nobody's business, and, you know, it all makes sense. That is not an answer. That is not a commitment. That is an agreement. And we don't need agreements, we need commitments. So just politely thank them and say, look, I appreciate it. That's awesome of you to say that. However, what I believe and what I think is immaterial here, all that matters is what you believe. So in your opinion, why not any of the others? And let's get them to close themselves on this. Now that we know it's which one it is, we of course can go ahead and get that window sample and get our heat, you know, our heat lamps and things like that. Especially when we get these in, it just bothers me that we don't have it yet. Then at this point is where I would go through the glass package now, through the heat lamp test and all that. Did you guys happen to all look at that yesterday? For those of you who hadn't seen it, on the recording that went out, well, Cam, I know you and James, did you happen to sit there and go over that with him?
Yeah.
You did? I know Cody, I think everybody there has seen that except for you, Jimmy.
No, I saw it. You showed it to me when I was in town.
Did you? Okay, okay. All right, then everybody in this call has seen it. You guys, well, that's because you three don't count, that's why. When you start to get taller than that, I stop paying attention to you.
I'm still under 6 feet.
I can't tell standing next to you. You look 6 foot to me. If anybody asks me how tall you think
Watch yourself, Terry. You watch yourself.
for what?
Because I'm gonna come up there and I'm gonna be very mad at you, Terry.
Yeah, well, usually I can't hear you anyway. That's why our relationship is better on the phone. Because in person, with your face in the clouds, I just don't hear that too well. So anyway, so this is where we would do our heat lamp test. Again, we want to make sure that we ask the closing question, which is, if given the choice, and you do have one, which glass package do you believe to be best for you? Only somebody insane is going to pick something else other than yours. Okay, they'll always pick yours, always. Great. So what you're saying is the Apex glass. Yes. Awesome. And if you had the Apex glass in your house throughout the entire home, out of curiosity, how much money you think you could save on your heating and cooling cost? You know, well, I don't really know. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't work for the electric company. No, I get you don't work for it, but dude, you pay the bill every month. You know, you've seen the power of the glass, of this Apex glass. So in your mind, out of curiosity, chuck a number at me. And it doesn't matter what it is. So there's not a wrong answer here. Okay, well, $20 a month. 20 it is. 20 will work. We'll take 20. Any number that they give, we'll take. Any number they give. Now, that does come to a point where it gets ridiculous, and you can't let anybody get away with the ridiculousness of things. You know, I should probably be able to save $2 or $3 a month on my heating and cooling costs. Okay, so for $2 or $3 a month for heating and cooling costs, first question I have to ask is the obvious one. Why are you even wanting to replace your windows again? You know, now that's just somebody being an asshole is really what they're doing. So let's get after them a little bit. It'll be fun anyway. You guys will like it. It'll be fun. You know, it'll be fun.
Who don't have the heat lamp, like what kind of word track would you go through to still set this up with the, you know, efficiency of the glass and get this question in?
Well, from there, this is one of those ones that, knowing solar heat gains and U factors and things like that, this is one of those ones that where this type of education, if you will, could help. Okay, or you could talk right past people here. I don't know. So if for whatever the reason I didn't happen to have my heat lamp kit, what I would probably try to do is talk my way through it. You know, folks, there's different type of spacers that you have, different type of companies. Here's what I mean by that. If you take a standard single pane aluminum window, your U factor on that window typically is going to be about 0.67. Solar heat gain is going to be about 0.68, 0.69, somewhere in there. Meaning that 68% of the heat is going to pass in the wintertime and escape, or about 67 to 70%, if you will, in that area of the heat's going to come in the summer. Now you compare that to, say, a contractor grade window out at Lowe's, where it's a double pane aluminum window, no argon gas, no low E coating in it. You're going to see solar heat gains in the low 50s, high 40s. So again, 49 to 51, 52% of the heat and the cold passing through. We continue to work our way down, and you start getting into a better window, such as Renewal by Andersen. You know, you're looking at a solar heat gain of about 0.24 to 0.25 in that area there. So drastically reducing it down to 25% only, because all the heat is coming in or going out. And then from there, you start to get into glass packages with your triple pane glass. That triple pane glass typically is going to run somewhere on a U factor between about 0.18 and 0.20. You know, so it's only 18 to 20%. When you compare that to the 24%, you know, on say a Renewal by Andersen or Pella, you're looking at a difference of about 17% more energy efficient in this direction here on the triple pane side. So again, I'm not a big fan of telling everybody at this point in time that we are triple pane, because then it makes it look like we're really trying to push them our way. We want to give them the options that are there. It's when we demo this window, then we're going to get into, oh, by the way, our window's actually triple pane, and that's what all this is. it is a much better way to go, blah, 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 blah. Yep.
Don't they know? Because the juniors, we're telling them that what we're.
You can tell them, but you know, the app, look, I've got 5 kids, right? All of them almost, the youngest ones are right at 29 years old. So after 29, I can still barely remember their freaking names. I still call them, hey, you, and hey, look, what the hell? You know who I'm talking about. You know, most people aren't going to remember all that. I mean, we're acting like here that everybody we talk to is a Rhodes Scholar and that they're going to remember everything that you're telling them. Half of these people can't remember to sit there and bring home milk that they need at the end of the day. And yet we're sitting there and thinking that they're going to remember from 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 days the way that we told them it was triple pain. Half the juniors on here, if they were being, or seniors on here, if they were being honest, when they started getting into triple pain, half their customer goes, oh, you know what? Yeah, that's right. That's what they said. If we were being honest, that's what they're not remembering that. There's no way. There's no way. Most of these people can't even remember their own anniversary, much less the window person that knocked on the door saying we're triple pain, you know? So I wouldn't sit there and say much about that until it's time to reveal, but give everybody the choices and then take it from there. Okay. That'd be about the way I would probably do it, Cody, is I think you have to get into U factors and solar heat gains here and really bear down on this and explain to them what it is, and then a little at a time walk them through the various ones. Again, your single pane aluminum windows, or even your single pane wood windows for that matter, you know, you're going to run U factors and solar heat gains in the low to mid 60s for sure. Some higher than that.
Do you think it would be valuable to utilize the iPads, you know, the Voyager augmented reality glass pack on there instead of talking and using that?
It can't hurt you. I mean, you can show it. Anything that you can try to show can't hurt. I mean, personally, I'm not used to using the Voyager thing, so I think some of the stuff on the iPad is really cool. The augmented reality is cool. My problem is I can't get the damn thing to work, so I'm showing windows in the middle of walls and shit. You know, where there is no windows.
You do have to be smarter than the LiDAR scanner to make it work.
Yeah, well, I'm not. So, you know, but I think if you can do that, you know, one of the things that I think is a powerful tool in the Voyager deal is you know, when you blow up the window and you hit the thing and
yeah.
Since we don't have a parts and pieces bag, and we are working on a parts and pieces bag, just so you know, I've been bitching to Brett in the factory a lot about a parts and pieces bag, but blowing that window up on that iPad and then going through it and saying, hey, look, here's this and this and this, and here's your you know, fiberglass reinforced check rail, see how this works, and to blow that up so a customer can see it. I certainly think it's way more powerful than trying to talk your way through it. So yes, Cody, again, to answer your question, I think it is very beneficial to go that route.
Hey Terry, do you have, or is there like anywhere like online or anything that there's like a list of like solar heat gain and, you know, U factor and all that of a single pane aluminum compared to a double compared to this? Is there anywhere that we could show that to a customer so that it's not like we're just saying it? Like,
You know, there might be. I'm sure if you looked hard enough for it, they probably do something. The challenge with all solar heat gains and U factors and things like that, it's all based on the size of the window, the operation of the window. It's going to drastically change things. But you might can find something that says on average, here's what a single pane aluminum is. You know, I can tell you through just my experience and being around and seeing all of it, typically single, you know, pane aluminum windows, they're going to run in the mid to high, or the low to mid 60% dishes, you know, stuff like that. Same thing with wood windows. They're going to run a little bit better just because the wood frame itself is temperature ignorant, but the glass is still single pane. So that's going to be lower than aluminum. And then you work all the way down to where we're at, where other companies at, which typically your better high performance windows are going to be in the mid 20s in both U factor and solar heat gain, you know, until you start getting into either blue glass or triple pane. So, but I think if you research it, you'd be able to find it. You know, I would hope that something like that is on there, you know. So it'd be a good idea to have in your kill book.
Yeah.
You know, for sure. Again, all these things is why being the expert is what we need to do. At some point in time, if you're an expert enough, that credibility you'll build automatically, and people will look at you differently, and then that trust will actually kick in, and all of a sudden selling is a lot easier when it's that way. Okay. But that'd be the best I could do for right now for the glass package. But going through the iPad would be a good idea, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know how to do it too good, but I do know how to sit there and blow the window up. And I do know how to get the augmented reality to eventually work so I can watch the car drive by at night. I do like that. I actually get a kick out of that crap. That you can walk up to the window and look around the corner and down the street. I dig that.
Yeah.
That trips me out.
Little fun fact, that car that drives by is Bram's car, the guy that designed the app. Like they modeled his car to be the one to drive.
Uh-huh. And we're sure about this.
Yeah, that's what he told me.
Who's he?
Bram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That might be true.
It might be.
So apparently that's Bram's car, just so you guys know. I don't know who Bram is, but apparently it's his car.
What car are we talking about? In the AR video. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, the night scene when you see or dusk, when you see the car driving by. Apparently that's some cat named Bram who helped design it or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So I just think it's cool that you can look out the window and down the street. Bugs me out. So anyway, that's the glass package would be next. And then from there, we of course want to go ahead and demo the window. Now, the thing to remember is we asked in the CPA, part of the CPA's product. So whatever they gave us in product that they're looking for, we got to make sure that we jump on that. Even if it's vague. Well, I'm looking for high quality. Great, high quality. Well, here's your high quality part. We have 100% pure virgin vinyl, thicker gauge vinyl. Thicker gauge, means we cover warping, blah 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 blah, and we want to get into stuff like that. Okay. If it's security, then we want to go ahead and talk about our die cast steel locks for sure, in 90-degree interlocking rails, and the fact that the window is triple pane glass, much harder to break through, and all this good stuff. That we do have a little added security with our vent latches that we have. Let's try not to lie here, guys and gals. Let's not lie here. Let's not make out that our window is something that it really isn't. Okay, our vent latches, they don't take 800 to 1100 or 800 to 1100 pounds per square inch to break. That's a lie. Let's not say that. Okay, let's not do that. Let's not say things like when our windows are closed, they seal like a window on a submarine and all this other bullshit. I actually heard that, Cody, when I was up in Seattle, when we were up in Cleveland. Oh yeah, well, here's what we tell everybody, because these windows, they seal so good, like a window on a submarine. I said, really? Like on a submarine? Get the fuck out of here with that. There's no way. If a submarine window sealed like our window did, every sub that went down would not come back up. That's just all there is to it. So let's not tell those kind of lies. There is no Kevlar in the weather stripping, guys. You don't have to say that. That is not what somebody's going to buy as to why they're going to buy. They're not going to say, why'd you buy the windows? Because my windows are damn near bulletproof. They got Kevlar in the weather stripping, baby. So when the police come to my house, I can hide behind the window and I'll be okay. Nobody is buying windows for that reason.
Great pitch.
There's no need to lie. Let's not lie. Let's not do that. Okay. But we go through the demonstration, everything of our window, and I'm sure everybody already does this anyway. I know the one time I went with Nicole was real good about, hey, look, play with the window, folks. So we do want to make sure that we let the customer get handsy on things and mess with stuff. And then of course, ask our question, right? When we're done with demoing the window, is this the window, here's my window, folks. You like it? Do you love it? I only ask that question to get a response. And the response is, well, yeah, that's a pretty good window. Well, great. but is it good enough that this is the window you want to put on your home over all others? Everybody on this call is going to weird out here. Every single one of you will weird out. Because the fear is, well, I don't like asking that question because if I do, what if they say no? Well, what if they do? What if they do say no? You damn well better hope they say no now. Because that means we haven't sat there and sold them on our window and done enough. Then for them to sit there and have that feeling, and we get down in the close, and then we go through the whole buyers are liars crap, and they can't do it right now because they have emergencies going on and brain surgeries going on. They've got to shop and they've got to research and they got to do their due diligence, and they don't make one-day decisions and all that. More often than not, that is all caused by because they have not been sold. So by asking them this question now, we at least have an opportunity to figure out why that is. Really, out of curiosity, why would that be? Well, you're the first person that's been here, dude. Right, but earlier you said this, or earlier you said that. The chances of you being the first window company there is almost so remote, slim, it's not funny in most cases. None of you have ever been in first place this many times in your life, ever. Ever. So why would you sit there and think all of a sudden, we're going to be that first place that many times now? It just doesn't happen like that. So it's better to get the answer now so we can try to dig in and see what's keeping this window from being their window. Maybe they just didn't hear something that you said. Maybe they didn't understand. Most of us have seen White Men Can't Jump, right? You can hear Jimi Hendrix, but you can't hear Jimi Hendrix. Well, maybe that's what it was. Maybe they heard you, but they just weren't listening to you in regards to something. I can't tell you how many times I've done it. It was, well, not really. It was, well, really, out of curiosity, why? Well, what I'm looking for is a better warranty. Better warranty. Well, folks, we do have a lifetime warranty. How can they get any better? Oh, I don't remember you saying that. Okay, well, I'm sorry about that. Well, yeah. Just because you said it doesn't mean they heard you. So this is an opportunity to dig in. To not ask this question here, the only reason why you wouldn't do it would be two reasons. One, you forgot, or two, you're afraid to ask it because of the answer you might get. But don't be afraid of the answer. You want to know. You want to know so you can dig in and figure out what it is you may need to continue to do before you get into that close. But for yourself, you better figure something out, though, or you have a problem waiting for you in the close. I would want to know now, wouldn't you? At least I would. So, yes.
Can you repeat? So you ask them, how do you guys like the window? Yeah, we like it. And then what's the question?
As soon as you're done demoing, it's okay, folks. There's my window. Do you like it? Do you love it? Talk to me. What do you think?
Right, yeah.
It's a good window, or that's a nice window, or man, that thing is slick, or yeah, man, that thing is sharp. You just repeat their answer back, whatever it is. I think that window's real sharp. But is it sharp enough though? Did you believe this window to be the window you would want to put on your home over all others? It's a good window, but do you believe it to be good enough that this is the window you want to put on your home over all others? Man, that's a really cool window. Yeah, but is it cool enough that this is the window you would want to put on your home over all others? Let's ask the question here. Don't be afraid of the answer. Don't be afraid of the answer. Okay? The worst that can happen is they say, no, it's not the window that I would put on my home over all others. What's the difference between you hearing that answer out loud or them thinking that this is the window they're not going to put on their home over all others? Either way, the answer is there. You might as well get it out so you give yourself an opportunity to address it. You might as well. Okay? So, we've done that, and now it's time to get into our measuring. So, we'll dabble in the measuring. I am going to cut this week a little bit short, everybody. With David and them coming back, apparently they want to get on some meetings for tomorrow because of this, whatever they discussed up there. At the same time, too, I would like to be able to sit there and obviously I want to get to the airport early tomorrow, but something tells me my ass is going to be staying overnight. You know what's going to happen. You're going to fly out and I'm going to be at the damn airport when you get there. You watch. So let's get into step number 6 for a quick second and start touching on that real fast. Step 6 is the remeasure. So for me, when I'm remeasuring, there's a couple musts for me. Number one, when you're remeasuring, you take the husband and the wife with you.
Yes.
You got to take them with you. Unless they're completely incapacitated or something like that, you've got to take them with you. What I do is I take a measure sheet, I put it on a clipboard. If it's a couple, I always hand the clipboard to the wife. I ask the wife, ma'am, if you don't mind, so we can speed this up, if you can help me out here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go to room to room. Here's this, here's this, here's this, and we'll just check off what we need. Get her to participate.
Mhm.
They take ownership at that point. Get the husband to sit there and help out and hold the dummy end of the measuring tape if you have to. Okay, so when you walk up to a window, number one, help the wife out. Say, okay, ma'am, this is going to be line number 1 here, which is looks like our master bedroom. So what you want to do is if you put line 101 right here, master bedroom here. Now, right now, this is 2 single hung windows molded together. We can either do the same rig that way, or we can put 1 sliding window in. You know, 1 sliding window would be more cost effective. You know, which way do you think you guys would want to go? Yeah, let's put the slider in. What color? What about grid options? Things like that. Build each window while you're there. If it was me, if that's something you're supposed to put in your iPad, I would very much be taking my iPad and putting it in the iPad as well while I'm doing it, which will save you time at the table. Okay, so that's what I would do. You're all doing this together. Nobody's going to trip out on you over it. They're not going to trip out. All right. Then we move to the next window, and we move to the next window, and we move to the next window. Okay. But you got to get them to do it. Now, when you're measuring the window, you know, when I'm measuring a window and I talk about our windows or the company, you know, I tell everybody, you know, that our company, all of our windows are custom built, handmade, computer fitted. So because of that, it does take time to make. When I go to measure a window, I measure accordingly. Okay. So obviously we measure width plus height. Width always comes first. So for me, I'm going to measure a window and do one of these and go, hold on real quick. You know what? Let's go with 35 and 7/16. You know, the height, 59 and 1/8. Yeah, there's nothing weird here. So let's just go with those numbers there. Okay. We're telling everybody that what the hell is wrong with this tape measure? What the hell you guys got broken tape measures in this place for? Okay, anyway, it's not really broken. User error. So we're telling everybody that all of our windows are all custom built and all that. When you sit there and you do this, that's not custom built. When you walk up and some of you, and I'm sure some people out there are doing this, I'm not going to say everybody on this call, but I would assume people have done it. Folks, I've been doing this for so long, let me tell you. Yeah, that's a 48 by 60. See? Yeah, I told you, I've been doing this a long time. And then you want to eyeball everything as you go around. Okay, that's not customization. That's not what we told the people that we're that kind of that company. We're not that kind of company. So when I measure, that's how I measure. I measure 3 spots on the width, 3 spots on the height. I measure diagonal, say, yeah, that should work. You know, what do you mean that should work? Well, I'm trying to make sure this thing's not way out of square. That's all. So yeah, I want to run with those numbers. We'll go 35 and 7/16 by 59 and 1/8. Because you know when you're doing this, you're gonna round up anyway, so it doesn't matter. When you're pricing, you're rounding up anyhow. Okay. That's what I do when I measure. That's what I strongly suggest you do as well. Does it take longer? Yes. But custom built windows are supposed to take longer. They're supposed to. I get it. The Measure Tech is going to come back out. We can be cute and tell everybody that we measure strictly for price. We can certainly say that. but that's what everybody else is saying also. So I want to separate myself from everybody else. So now when we're taking these measurements, so just so you know, the way this is going to work, our measure tech is going to come back out to verify my measurements to make sure they're accurate. Here at Apex, we do everything twice just to make sure our measurements are accurate. At the same time, too, gives them the opportunity to walk the job in case there's something that they see that I do not. And if you have any technical questions when it comes to installation, this is a great time to ask that person. So that is what I do when I measure and then take the customers around. Okay. Would anybody want to add to that or don't particularly like that? You tell me.
One thing that I always do when I'm measuring,
Hold on, Jimmy got his hands up. Bless you. Bless you again. Dude. No, right here on the side. It's here. You
Oh, no, I know.
oh,
boogers. So anyway, what was your question, Jay?
Yeah, so, I understand the idea of like, having more detailed measurements and that sort of thing. A little bit of showmanship with that, but why not just get the measurements from the outside for those, for people that are, if they kind of look at what you're doing, they're like, okay, you're trying to check if it's on a square, but you're doing it from the interior. Some people might, raise the question mark with that.
Well, again, here's what I usually do, and I know it may vary from market to market. When I inspect windows, I inspect from the inside. When I measure windows, I measure from the outside, where I can. If it's a second story house, of course I can't do that. The reason why I measure from the outside is it gives me the opportunity to see if there's something I need to be aware of. For example, there's a brick house, in the lower right-hand 2 bricks are all messed up. Knowing that when we collapse that window and take it out, there may be a problem with the brick, I want to be able to address it with my customer. However, like here in Seattle, where every time I've been here, the place rains all the time. So that may be a little more difficult getting a customer outside and writing things in the rain and things like that. So if I didn't explain myself properly, and I did not, so I do apologize. I think measuring from the outside is where we should go, because it gives us a chance to inspect the windows on the outside and make clean notes as to what might be out there, or tell the customer that they got to cut bushes back and things like that. Okay. So that's usually where I'll measure from, is the outside.
Just kind of on that, Terry, do you think, because the majority of the homes built after probably 82 here in Portland are 2-story or more. So it gets really challenging. Obviously, we can't do the measure in the way you're talking about doing it, 3 points horizontally, vertically, and diagonally on anything but a ground floor window. Even in transom windows, you'd have to get some of those stilts, that the clowns walk on, and the nose, and then you'd have to go up and get up on there. So what do you think is better? Is it better to do it inside, given the fact that the majority of the homes here, we won't be able to reach the windows outside?
Well, no, what I was saying is you measure from the outside. If you can, there's a lot of variables in it, right? You can't be out there when it's snowing or raining and things like that. But if you can get out,
if it's a nice day, is it
Yeah.
worth going out to measure the first floor?
sure,
And then go up the second floor, just go inside and do those ones, or eyeball them, because it's a trade-off. We have to go back in to do exact measurements and showmanship, or we have to eyeball it from the outside.
No, what I tell everybody is, hey, look, on these windows here, we're going to take a couple different measurements. I'm going to measure from the outside wherever I can. The biggest reason why I'm measuring from the outside is give me an opportunity to walk the job, make sure there's no alligator or anything like that in the backyard, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. However, for the windows that are upstairs, we're certainly not going to be getting on any ladders. At least I know I'm not going to. So we'll go ahead and take these measurements upstairs from the inside at that point. Nobody ever says anything other than, okay. Nobody says anything,
I like that, because it's actually a really strong justification on why we're doing an inspection and a measurement separate, is because with the inspection, we're walking around on the inside. With the measure, now we're on the outside, kind of a secondary inspection too. So I think that's strong. There's a lot of homes where it's going to be hard to execute here. The whole thing on the outside. So.
You just navigate through it the best way you can. In the end, we have a job in literally right now in Phoenix that when the job was sold, we didn't walk that job on the outside. Phil screwed up and didn't go out because everything was everything. We get out there to go do the critical, the remeasure, and this dude's got like 8.5 feet of shrub of hedges in the backyard. There's like 3 inches from the brick or from the house. Nobody sat there and told my man that this has to be cut back 2 feet. So as our guys can get back there and put windows in. All right. We measure from the outside because it's a chance to inspect. It's also a chance to get out in front of crap. Again, you got rotted siding because they got masonite paneling or whatever out there. There's an opportunity that when we go to take our windows, that half this shit may fall apart. Hey, look, we're not responsible because their crap was already messed up and broken. So for us to be able to see that and then set the correct expectation, no problem. It's when we don't do that it becomes a problem at installation. Again, damaged brick, things like that. So speaking of installation, let me ask all the MSPs or I keep saying that shit, all the seniors right now. For those that have been seniors and are currently seniors, when a customer, and this is for anybody to answer, when a customer asks, how do you guys install? What is your guys' response? How do we respond to that? Jimmy.
Go in the morning and.
Day laborers.
How do we install?
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, when you guys come out here and install my windows, how exactly you're going to do that, man? I mean, what's going to happen here?
Okay, so I guess I'll just break down like essentially how the block grading process works with them.
So explain.
Yeah.
Put on pause. Hold on. Yeah.
It's been a while.
He was asking to do
Yeah.
throwing up thought.
Yeah, all the keys are, it's there. So it's either on the truck keys or the Infinity, but it's going to be the little silver one. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little silver one. All right. But all right. So how do you answer that one, Jimmy?
So I'll talk about the removal process. If it's a vinyl, I typically won't describe it as cutting out the window, but if it's a metal window, I would describe how they'll remove the glass, they'll enclose the frame so as not to disturb the siding, foam insulate around the perimeter, make sure it's airtight, and they'll bolt the frames to the studs from the interior, and then they'll waterproof it on the outside, flash it as needed, seal it on the interior, something kind of like that.
Okay. Shadow, how would you explain it?
Say our master installers utilize probably the best method we have for block frame installation. Start talking about that, like what Jimmy said. With an aluminum window, we're gonna take the glass panels out, break the frame in so we can get it out without disturbing the exterior of the home or anything like that. Come in, put in the insignia that's gonna be the exact fit, foam around. Attached to the studs from the interior, and then call from the interior to exterior for waterproofing and have it look completely finished. We're not going to disturb your siding, have any extra work for you guys to do, and get that total maintenance freedom.
Okay. Sean in Denver, what do you guys say?
Well, I first asked, it depends on what we're gonna do. It's a different install if we're doing a full tear out or an exterior tear out, but typically we do retrofit. So we cut the fence around, we remove the window from the outside. And then when we bring the new window in, same, then everything's the same.
Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. It's not as bad on the western region as it is on the eastern region, but it does come up more than its fair share of times, okay? There's entirely too much explanation and too much information we are giving customers when it comes to installation. Oversharing is not a good thing when it comes to install. There's some things in the vocabulary that I will be very insistent that we leave out. Saying things like, we will not disturb the house on the outside. We will not damage this. Once we're done, it'll be like we weren't even here. Okay, that bullshit needs to stop being said. That's causing a lot of problems. period. It's causing a lot of problems because when there is an inkling of a challenge on the outside, you got these damn people wanting to hold the money hostage because my sales rep told me it would be like you guys weren't even here, and I could tell you damn people were definitely here. Okay. We have entirely too much of that going on. What I would prefer when somebody asks me, hey Terry, how exactly do you install these windows? My answer is always the same. In a perfect world, we typically collapse the window, take the old window out, put whatever vapor barrier in we need to put in, and put the new window in. However, that's a great question to ask though. The measure tech when he comes out and the lead installer when they come out as well. What I don't want to do is give you more information than I know about. And if things don't go in that direction, all of a sudden you're upset because you think we're doing it wrong. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, can you accept that for an answer for right now? And I mean 99.999999999% of the time, I'm able to get away with it in any market that I've ever been in. When you overshare and things don't go exactly that way, these damn customers become a real big problem out there. But some of these promises and this over-promising that we're making, we have got to get past that.
Mhm.
To say how an install is going to go, unless you've installed Windows before, then you really have no idea what's really going to happen out there, other than we have an idea.
Yeah.
But as a former installer, I can tell you now, you go out there thinking something's going to be a certain way, you start taking windows out, and next thing you know, you find a family of freaking badgers in the wall and a crocodile buddy there that you got to fight back for the next 2 hours, and it changes everything. Or you've got termite damage, or you've got carpenter ant damage, or you've got water damage, or the opening is just plain screwed up. Okay. So we have to get away from the over-promising. It's not as bad here in the Western region, but it's bad enough that it needs to be addressed though. Eastern region is horrible. Western is not near as bad. Yes.
A phrase that we use in Denver is, as we're talking about install, usually this comes up when people say, are you going to repaint? Are you going to like put new siding on or whatever? And I go through the explanation of the things we do and we don't do, but then I always say it's construction. So until it happens, we don't know what could come up or could
Right.
show up when we open it. And then I say, but our installers' average time with us is 12 years and their average time in the industry is 20. So anything that comes up, they've seen it before, they know how to handle it. We'll make sure it gets handled. That's how I do it.
Right. Well, we don't paint or anything.
Well, we
Give
don't
me
need
more
either.
source.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't either.
So again, the big thing is to not overshare. Oversharing causes problems on the AR log and customer complaints, and we've got to get past that. The second thing is we've all been talked about how they being corporate because of Atlanta and all the stupid shit that they're saying out there, which I know is half of it's bull crap, along with Andrew Herrick about going to every remeasure and going to every install and all that. I'm going to tell you up front right now, that's bullshit. Bullshit. I don't buy into it. I don't care if this is being recorded and it's going to sit there and be sent to Moses himself. Then he can hear me say this is bullshit. Here's what I think to be bullshit. One, you as senior partners have no business having conversation with the measure tech or the installer or the installation manager.
Mhm.
In my opinion, and if I have anything to say about it, and I most certainly do, those conversations go away, period. You should not be talking to those guys at all. Asking them questions about how to install this, or can we do this, or what, that's bullshit. Because that's too many chiefs, not enough Indians. And then everybody starts having conversations that goes beyond the MSP's back, that the MSP does not know how to control things or get a handle on things. There is, in most companies I've ever seen, that's not even allowed. I don't believe in being out there at the remeasure, that you should be there. I don't know what advantage there is to that. I don't know what the hell everybody keeps talking that this is what you gotta do to get more business. What a load of crap. The only thing that can sit there and do is piss me off as a senior because I got better things to do than go out there and watch this idiot sit there and measure my job. Number one. Number two, I don't need to get into a pissing contest either. Well, here's what I told them that we're going to do. Because we put them, the measure tech, in a position to say, okay, well, actually, we can't do that. We're gonna have to install it this way. And we don't need to have that awkward crap out there. I just do not see a reason for it. I would love to hear somebody make an argument on this thing. And I will filibuster this all day long. I'm good for that one. Now, going to the installation, do I think going to the install is a good thing? It's a good thing-ish. It's a good thing-ish. As long as what you're not doing is going out there and trying to be a wise ass. The problem with most people that go out to the install, they think they got to get out there and sound like some kind of expert and walk around as, oh, Mr. Customer, yeah, I'm going to get this handled. Look, I don't like the way that looks. You don't fucking get to say that. That is not your opinion. That is an opinion. And you don't get to say that. Not you. That is your opinion. And your opinion does not matter when you get out there for that. Period.
That's like showing up, being like, oh, I don't like the way the coffee looks. That happens. So everybody here to have that conversation, said that, and things like that. So
Okay. That happens all the time. I can't tell you how many phone calls I get because some smart ass sales rep went out there trying to act like there's some kind of whatever. And hi, ma'am, I'm here to sit there and check on you. How's the installation going? Let's take a look at this. Whoa, wait a minute. You know what? See, I don't like the way this looks. I'm going to get this taken care of for you. See, this is why I do this. I want to sit there and give my customers white gloves. That's not white glove service. That's you being an asshole. Stop being an asshole. It's only a problem when the customer brings it up. When the customer says, I don't like that, then that's a problem. We address that. So when you get to a customer's house and the customer says, can you walk the job for me and make sure everything is okay? Absolutely, Mr. Blaylock, I can certainly do that. Before we get started, let me ask you a question. Is there anything that's going on right now so far that you don't like, that you feel a little funny about? No. It seems like everything is okay. I just want somebody else to take a look at it. Sure, not a problem. Then as you walk around, there's no problems there. Unless there's an obvious one. You know, there's an airplane sticking out of the window through the glass. That's a problem. That one we probably want to address. Okay. There's a crack in the glass. We probably want to address that. But past that, everything looks fine. You know what? As of now, Mr. Blaylock, everything that we've seen, I'll go along with what you're saying. I don't believe that there's a problem here so far. After the job is installed, the lead installer should go ahead and take you through a walkthrough so we can further take a look at the finished product and see what you think. That's it. But this bullshit about running around, though, needless to say, I'm heated up about it because I'm getting 15 of these freaking calls a week. There's some hotshot sales rep went out there and opened up their mouth and made a punch list when a customer was not complaining at all. Keep in mind, your opinion is just an opinion. A customer did a walkthrough. They signed off on the job saying everything was okay. And then we decided to go back out there and cause a punch list. And then all of a sudden, people have heartburn now. We've got to stop that. So I don't mind going to an installation as long as we're doing it correctly. Why do you go to an install? See if you can get more business first off. Some of these people are going to buy windows to start out with just to see how things go. And then they'll immediately buy the rest of the windows for the house right away. Okay. Some people are that way to get referrals. Not only that, keep an eye on the neighborhood. When you're out there visiting with the installers, checking on the installers, look at the neighbors and everything. See if any neighbors are looking outside and staring, looking to see what's going on out there. Those looky-loos like that, when you see that, walk over there and knock on their door. Everybody here has knocked doors before. So go over there and knock on that door. Hey, listen, sorry to bother you, but the reason I'm knocking on the door, we're doing the windows across the street. We're in the neighborhood, and let's get into a conversation. Maybe those people are the typical keeping up with the Joneses. Let's find out. Don't sit there and check your loop to see if Lupus says if we knock on that door already. So you get there, well, I don't want to knock on there. Lupus says here, we knocked on the door a couple months ago and the guy told us to pound sand. Well, maybe a couple months ago, he was having a bad day. Maybe he found out that his best friend had died. Maybe he found out his, I don't know, his wife was sleeping with his brother. I don't know. It was just a bad day. But it's the next day now. It's another day now. You see that, go knock on that door. That's what you're there for, is to try to do that. Not to go there and try to be some expert and start walking around pointing things out just because you want to sit there and make yourself feel better or make the customer think you're already smarter than you already are. You won already. You won. You sold the business. You earned their business and you sold it. You already won. There's nothing else for you to win out there. There's no need to do that. There's no need to do that. You already won. Job's yours. Okay. So that's what I would say when it comes to that. Most of the MSPs, I think I've talked to most of you about this already. I think most of us are in agreement for the most part. No need for our seniors to be going out there for a lot of that. I mean, do we agree or disagree with that?
I agree. I don't want to go out to the measures. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Like going out to the install and also reminding them, because we have a degrading referral bonus, and going out there and just saying, hey, I just wanted to stop by, see how things are going. I was in the area. It doesn't even have to be the perfect. I was in the area. I was going to start talking to some of the neighbors. Have you guys seen anybody? Has anybody poked their head over, been asking? I also want to remind you guys, you're still eligible for the $500 referral bonus for 90 days. So I want to get some of those sent your way. Who's been asking about the windows? Who's been peeking their head out?
Sure. Sure. There's a lot of different things. I mean, back in the old days when we used to get referrals, a couple different things you guys can do. Okay. Number one is when we first started pitching, again, keep in mind, this is very archaic. This is well over 30 years ago. But when we walked in the house and we got ready to get into business, we would hand the customer a little notepad. Okay. It was a little notepad. And we'd give them that in a pen or a pencil and let them know, hey, look, folks, as I go through this, if you can do me a favor, if you can think of anybody that's looking to replace their windows, or if they haven't replaced their windows yet and they own their house, do me a favor as we go through this, write their first names down. At the end of my presentation, if you feel that me and my product are recommendable, I would then ask for the last names and phone numbers at that time. Does that sound fair enough? Most people will say yes. And as you go through the presentation, you stop every now and then and say, hey, look, how are you doing on that list so far? Have I earned another name? And that's what we would do back in those days. Could you do that today? Sure, you could. That would still work. The other thing you can do is make it part of your discount process. Put it in your contract. Hey, look, here's what we're going to be doing for this promotional program. 90-day yard sign, before and after pictures, online review or 2 online reviews, And at the same time, too, we're going to need a referral from you, 30 days after the date of installation. So it gives you the opportunity to live with the product to make sure it did everything that I said it would do, shy of stopping bullets. At that point in time, we would go ahead and ask for a referral then. And what we're going to do is we will go ahead and call them up and give them the same opportunity we gave you, free inspection and all that. If we can help them out, great. If we can't, that's okay. Make that part of your discount, because if you make it part of the promotional program and put it in your contract, they have to do it. That ensures that you have to do it. Okay. My last 8, 9, 10 years as a sales rep, something like that, I ran about 6 to 8 leads, 9 leads a month. That's it. That's all I ran. Everything else was 100% pure referral business and previous customer business. And I sold on average 18 to 21 contracts a month. And 90% of it was from that. But I'm extremely resourceful. And my opinion is I can't allow a $75 or $80 or $100,000 a year earner dictate whether I make 300 grand plus or not. I can't do that. So I'm not going to depend on them to be that way, to get me in a house. Okay. Some of you have told this story too, some of you I haven't. I was running leads one day, and for whatever the reason, I was just having a bad day and I was pissed off at the planet. And I had run 3 leads that day, plus a same day. 3 of them were one legs, and the same day appointment turned out to not be there when I got there. So I was just pissed. And I went home and I was tossing the leads on the table along with my keys and stuff. And I was throwing myself a midget hissy fit and talking about these shitty leads and all this other crap. And when I was finished, my wife looked at me and she said, "Are you done?" I said, "What?" She goes, "Are you done?" I said, "Yeah, I'm done." She goes, "Good." She goes, "Number one, these shitty leads that you're talking about have allowed you to sit there and make us, we're 300 grand plus a year here. That's number one." She goes, "Number two, you got those from the office as I did." She goes, "Awesome. So what did you do to help our family then?" I said, "Excuse me?" She goes, "You heard me. What have you done to help our family?" That's the way you're supposed to look at it. Forget those leads. What did you do today? So the question I would ask is the same thing with you. What have you guys done today to help yourselves? What revenue generating activities have you had? Part of those revenue generating activities is when you're selling stuff, get referrals, get them in your contract. So the customer is obligated to have to give it to you. Make that part of your promotional home program. As part of our promotional home program, folks, here's what we do. Number one, we're going to ask for a yard sign to be put in your front of your house approximately 90 to 120 days. Give or take a day or two either way. Providing, of course, your HOA will allow for it. Number two, we're going to ask for before and after pictures. We will take the pictures. Okay? We don't expect you to take them, but we will. You don't have to be in the pictures. You could if you wanted to, though, but you don't have to be. From there, what we're going to ask for is 2 online reviews. Online review number one, your experience with our organization from the time you set the appointment up to the time you place your order with us. And then from there, from the time you place your order to the end of installation. The last thing we're going to ask for is a referral. The referral we're going to ask for is with a referral 30 days after the date of installation. Okay. That referral, all we're going to do is call them up, sit there and say, "Hey, look, here's this, here's this, here's this." Give them, we're going to offer them the opportunity to get a free window inspection and a free window evaluation, a thermal imagery evaluation. If they say no, they say no, folks. We're certainly not going to hold you hostage to it. The only rules we ask is that your referral, they own the house and they haven't replaced the windows anytime soon. And make that part of your deal so you can get more referrals. But I'm a referral grabbing unit because I don't really want to go knock doors, to be honest with you. And when I did knock doors, I only knocked doors really when it was a one-legger or a no home. Then I knocked 2 next to 2 to the left, 2 to the right, 4 or 5 across the street. And I got the hell out of Dodge. I had no interest in knocking any more doors than that. But
give a little side tip.
Hey, you ain't giving shit.
When I go to collect referrals and I do before and or the after photos, what I've found over the last year or two, because I help them post on Nextdoor, is I take a picture with their pet, and then I coin the home, the name of the pet. So my last install was Falcor is their dog. So when we posted on Nextdoor, I say Falcor and I partnered up. We did an energy efficiency remodel on this home. People tend to know their neighbors by who their dog is, because when you're out walking your dog, or that's just how people know each other, because they're not quite as let's go next door and have a margarita anymore. It's not really like that in Colorado. So people know each other by their pets, and I've gotten a lot more referrals that way, which is interesting, but it's also really fun to post that way and people get into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say get off the happy smoke is what I would say.
I
No,
live in Colorado.
I'm just
There's
messing
a
with you.
lot of happy smoke there.
I'm just messing with you. That's just me talking shit. You guys most everybody here knows how I feel about dogs. I think there's only 3 good dogs: hot dogs, corn dogs, and chili dogs, and that's about it.
Oh man, I can't even with you. I have 5 huskies.
Do I?
I would agree with that. In my own neighborhood, I've lived there for 14 years. I know all the dogs that walk through the neighborhood, and I can recognize the homeowner. I don't know a single one of their names. When I saw a picture, I'd be like, oh yeah, I fucking know what house they live at.
So,
I watch Rocco walk past my house every day.
Yeah.
I wanna add something to this, Shonda. So my mom, Lucy, she's like the service coordinator here, and she broke her right foot, so she's been having to work from home. And since she can't walk, she's been having to hire dog walkers. So she's literally had, because she has a 175-pound Great Dane named Xander. So
Yeah.
literally, she's been having people call her saying, or come up to these dog walkers, excuse me, why are you with Xander? Like, they don't know Lucy, they don't know my mom's name, but everyone knows Xander, so they're calling her to make sure that he's not being stolen. So I think
Loving
you're
dogs does something.
something with that, definitely.
That would sell really well in this market, for
Yes.
sure. It's a great idea.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You can take me to dinner for it later.
don't nobody give a damn about no dog.
No, all
He
of a
only likes
sudden,
his dog.
questioning your character.
He only likes his dog.
Yeah, for reals. Well, number one, I talk shit, but we have we have one dog now at home. And Samson and Delilah. Samson was 18, he passed away last year. And Delilah's only 15 right now. So, and I'm not gonna lie, when Delilah checks out too, I'll be bummed out by that because Sammy's been gone now for over a year, and I think about it all the time. I really do. I was actually sharing that with Cody, saying, "Look, I'll talk a lot of shit, bro, but it bothers me." So I told Cody, I'll just share this with all of you guys. When I was in Tucson, Arizona, about maybe 9 or 10 months ago, give or take, I was doing a training class down there for Dream Style Remodeling, and I was staying at the hotel, this Holiday Inn Express. At about 3 o'clock in the morning, I was having some dream. And in the dream, I could hear this dog barking. Ruff, 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 a little tiny dog bark, And in my dream, I realized it was Sam's, our dog. I woke up and it weirded me out, and I turned the light on. When I turned the light on, there was a lizard on my pillow next to me. And I swear to you, on a stack of Bibles and a pile of rosary, swear that Samson let me know that was there, and I needed to wake up and pick his little ass up and throw it outside. So I've never heard it again before. I've never had that dream before, but swear to you, I was actually talking to Cody about that and said it was the damnedest thing that I heard that when I woke up and I looked, I kid you not, the lizard was about 7.5 inches, give or take. And it was literally on the pillow next to me, probably, I don't know, 18 inches or so away from where my head was at. Do what? No. It wasn't a Gila monster or nothing, but, I believe that, I don't know,
Aww.
Sammy woke me up to sit there and tell me I need to get that shit off the bed.
From the Holiday Inn lizards that were coming to get you.
What was their breakfast?
Well, this is in fact Arizona, and we have lots of critters in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of critters. Do you guys have different kind of critters out here in the woods? Bears and deer and shit like that. We have Gila monsters and coyotes and centipedes and scorpions all over the damn place. So different kind of critters. Anyway, so look, when we're talking about installation, guys, let's be cool here, okay? Let's not overshare. Your best answer to give everybody is, look, in theory, folks, we're going to collapse these windows. We're going to put a new vapor barrier in it. We're going to put the new window in. However, that being said, that is a great question to ask the measure tech when he comes back out to do the remeasure, and the installers when they come out. What I don't want to do is give you too much information. If things don't go that way, then all of a sudden it looks like we're not knowing what we're doing. Can you accept that as an answer for right now? 99.9999999% of the time, that's going to be fine. It is. The part that we gotta get past a little bit, guys, and everybody and gals, that we have to think about is, let's stop with the whole unique thing. Let's stop with that. Okay? Everybody wants to believe that the town that they live in is unique. Their people are unique, their town is unique, the state is unique. The air that they breathe is unique, the money that they spend is unique. The flu that they get is different there than the flu somewhere else. Really and truly, I have pretty much sold windows all over this country. The reasons that people don't buy are the same reasons everywhere. It's not that unique. Let's get off the unique part and quit trying to find reasons why we don't want to accept something. Because, well, here, we couldn't say that because here in North Dakota, especially if you're selling between 6 and 645, people are way weird down here. Let's kind of get past that a little bit. Let's not get into that. The bottom line is we're volunteering too much, and it's causing a lot of service issues, and it's causing a lot of not being able to collect issues, and it's causing a lot of people that are wanting to ask for discounts because my salesman told me it was going to be a certain way and now it's not. Therefore, you owe me a discount. So let's not overshare. We don't have to be that type of an expert as far as that goes. Expertise builds credibility. I didn't say professionalism and Hall of Fame expertise. We just need to be a little better, for sure. But let's not overshare when it comes to that. It just runs into too many problems. Okay. Any questions about that? Thoughts, concerns, or challenges? All right, let's go ahead and take our first break here for sure. Were we trying to time how long I could talk, Cody?
What do you say?
Nothing. I've got 8:49 my time. Let's go ahead. Whoops. Do what? How come none of you guys like my ringtone for this? What is wrong with you guys?
Obnoxious.
It's an alarm. Red alert, red alert, red alert.
I'm gonna tell you right now, though. You should be on the airplane with me when I forget to put this on silent and the phone.
Double freaking out.
Some of the looks that you get, oh yeah, people be tripping. Anyway, I've got 8:50. Let's take a 10-minute break, guys. Thanks.
Like the nuclear siren there.
Well, the reason why I do it is because I can hear it. There's a lot of sounds I can't hear on the phone. Yeah, so this one I can hear.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I have that one here.
And then I get mushrooms.
Yeah, I've heard of Rise.
Yeah, I usually do
You know,
one, so I don't.
Like, you want coffee cold or you want I do 10.
No.
12 will put it like right below the brim, but you won't have too much room for creamer enough if you still like to taste the coffee.
Okay.
And one of the neighbors, we were doing together installs, and the neighborhood, they closed it down.
Yeah.
It was like,
Oh,
house.
yeah, okay. Oh, I
And like,
know. Right.
and we were over there talking. Best thing ever, and blah, 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 and we were like, I'm sure like, this is shit, like, you can't just wait, you're not, why would you create a
Yeah.
you know? Like, yeah. At first I was like, what the fuck?
You guys can.
I'll be spending on that first.
Hey, Siri.
Yeah. Yeah, we're doing
But
I know.
I was Oh, Brian, I'm good. Oh my God. Oh, I was so surprised. I'm like, really?
I did too, so what's up?
I didn't even know. I was like, oh,
How was you? I didn't see overnight when you, in 2020, when you had that.
Dude, when,
Oh,
I was thinking
Oh,
the
yeah.
first poker night, whenever it was you and me and Taylor.
This right
Yours?
Oh,
No, your place?
Oh, at my
Before
old
you moved?
candy house,
And he was
yeah.
like, oh my God, we like scrap. It's like that, he goes.
I got the baby if you need it.
Sounds good.
The outside, yeah, yeah.
Not okay.
What the hell are you?
Yeah.
These kids.
I don't, what do you hate, what's going on, man?
Nothing, I was just in town, I had a doctor's appointment at the ENT just
Yeah.
now, so I was like, I was driving past, I'm like, I think that's Cody's car, but it's been so long since I've seen you guys. I'm like-
Yeah.
So I pulled in really quick, I called them, I'm like, hey, I don't know if you guys are around, I'm like.
It's good time because we just went on like a 10-minute break.
Yeah, like,
We're doing,
we're doing like a whole new like 4-week training program right
Yeah.
now.
Nice.
like Apex is really changing a lot,
Yeah.
we're doing a whole bunch of different stuff, so we've got a hired a campus manager. He's like taking care of the junior partners, so that's coming off the senior partners like, so basically.
The layaway plan looks like. Lottery tickets, yeah. It's always a good route to go.
It's like.
Door was locked, just so you know.
Oh, somebody unlocked it finally.
I locked it and then I went out, locked it and opened it again. Held it on. Just so you know.
Okay.
Be quickly, be quickly.
That's good to know.
Nothing bothers me, but I can feel
About to
okay.
say, oh yeah. Say when you're gonna go relax in Denver.
No, well, I have kids.
I don't wanna be around my.
I mean, I remember when my boys were little, and when I would go to the bathroom, and sometimes I would just go like a couple days and just sit on the side of the tub. And they would sit outside the door, they just sit there and wait. Now my dogs do it. So there's
I can't even, I'll close the door, and somehow one of my dogs still open it. Shit, like, and they just sit there and stare at me, I'm like,
Yeah,
I love you, but I'm trying to push out poop right
they
now,
want,
get the fuck
they
out
wanna
of
put
my
their
face.
face right on your leg.
Yeah,
And you're just like, oh, not time.
one of them tries to
not time."
sniff through, and it's like, you are gross, get the fuck out. Yeah.
He's like, why are you doing this outside, Dad?
Right? This isn't normal.
Yeah. They are interesting. They're all mixes of some kind. So my and then I have a first generation policy. So dad was.
Pomeranian husky.
And then they had and they asked.
So we just took my in-laws
If I
to.
accidentally knew that my boyfriend was police became my partner. He got fixed and we found out that she was pregnant not 2 weeks after. So we were so close to preventing it from happening, but. Yeah, and then, so she had 9 puppies and then she had 9 puppies and then we kept the 3. I don't know how politically correct Seattle is, but I called them my short bus dogs because they're all their medication or whatever. They just needed some, extra loving and care. Like, this is a ghost, he's my boy, he's one of my boys. Isn't he beautiful?
That's the Pomeranian one.
No, this is one of the pups. So what his actual
Like upper management.
is there his breed, isn't he gorgeous? And then, oh, well, I talk about that a lot. There's a lot of that. Oh, well, here's 4 of them together, so there's a portrait. And then that's the mom, the golden retriever husky. And he goes together, that's like that. Yeah, it's beautiful, and this one right here, I'll see if I can find another picture of her. They're such a nightmare.
Absolutely.
Oh, and then this is my last one.
This guy.
I'll find one at Klondike, there's her little.
What would be the question?
She is rather adorable. She keeps her,
Don't lie, she's not.
stop talking about dogs.
Oh,
I
definitely
Then it
Dogs.
doesn't really matter.
not. Dogs, talking about dogs.
Yeah, you guys
We haven't even
Most
talked.
of my career.
We haven't even brought it up to each other.
Trying to figure out what-
Yeah, snoring before halftime was like the best thing that could have happened, and then it just.
Yes, they are. I talked to
They do.
Yeah.
You would hate them. And the weather.
Yeah, well, I'm allergic to. Yeah, I'm allergic to dogs and shit, cat, not cat. Not big as a cat. But
How could you even love something that looks like?
well, it's ugly, but it's still, I'm not allergic to it. Yeah, they are.
I thought I was, it's drop. Yeah.
Money down on, Monday night.
Oh, I took Michigan all day. All day.
Did you buy a overall win or?
No. I sat there and I bet, I mean,
Oh, you are.
Very full.
Okay.
in my opinion, they were gonna beat them up, in my opinion. And to be honest with you,
Yeah.
the game should have been a runaway in the first
Yeah,
half.
should have.
And they rushed for 290 yards in the first half. But there was a lot of mental mistakes that they made. I just didn't think it was gonna be that way the entire game. Of course, towards the end, it did. And once their D settled in even more, you know, so the game, I personally thought Alabama or Michigan was gonna win by 3 touchdowns. That's what I thought, was that.
Yes.
And when you look at the statistics, statistically, they actually should have.
Yeah.
Because that game was upside down. Oh, that's right, 37-13, yeah. So I stuck the game off when it was 4:32 left in the game. And it was 27-13, whatever the fuck it was. I shut it off at that point. I'm not gonna, there is no danger in me losing this one. So it was 4:32 left and Washington had the ball. You know, and I think the final score was 37-13, 31-13.
Usually threw a pick six.
Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah, at the end, so. All right, are we back? Are we ready? Are we ready?
Just polio part.
All of a sudden, Shonda brings up dogs. Everybody wants to talk about puppies now.
And Hooters.
Oh, and
That's the next
Hooters.
Conversation, yeah.
Hooters.
Travel around.
Oh, never mind. Gotcha.
Well,
I was going in a different direction,
I know, yeah.
you know? Actually, I like Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But I like Hooters wings better.
Oh,
I love
yes.
their wing. And
Their sauce is
So you gotta go to
amazing.
Joey's.
I only eat their floppers.
You gotta go to Joey's around here if you haven't been to Joey's.
I've never been to Joey's here before.
I think there's one in Bellevue. Well, you can go for wings. There's not wings, like, dresses, you know, you really get mini screens, you get flat screen in front of the urinals there, that's how cool it is.
Yeah.
ESPN playing like tips, nothing better than that.
Probably not something you.
All right, so when it comes to remeasuring, again, the important part I would sit there and say is take the customer with you, for sure. Let's take the customer with you. And at the same time to get them to participate, you know, we'll let one person write, let the other person help you, especially on the bigger windows. If you can, try to go ahead and measure from the outside, gives you a chance to walk the job from the outside. But obviously, if you're unable to, then of course, on the inside, you know. I certainly don't want anybody on the outside on the ladder either. I mean, we're never gonna get to that point. So, you know, I don't mind you going on the outside and measuring as long as you got wings or there's a deck for you to walk on or something like that. But other than that, we certainly don't want to get on anything like that. Okay. So for those windows that are that way, then I would do those up from the inside. Yes.
Sure, do you get up on the ladder inside if there's like a big, like a
No.
foyer or something
No.
like that?
No, we
No.
just stretch that
Just stretch it
sucker
out,
out.
okay.
Good.
Cool.
I'm
You
so
know-
good at that.
Yeah, I don't want anybody, I don't ever want anybody on a ladder, to be honest with you. I just don't.
And a lot of times you can already know the width
So-
because it'll line up with the window underneath it.
That's fair.
So,
Okay.
you know, you can
Yeah.
help with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so questions about the measure? Questions?
Yeah, Terry, I got one.
Yeah, what's up, Jay?
So for like a long appointment, a lot of times homeowners, they look at like maybe, you know, during the.
I can barely hear you, brother, for whatever the reason. It's like the sound is off in your place. Do it again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, got you.
Okay, so for like during the measure, for example, a lot of times, especially with a long appointment, one or sometimes both homeowners look at that as an opportunity to like, you know, make a phone call for work or like finish cooking something or preparing something for their kids, or taking a break, using the bathroom, etc. How do you keep them constantly engaged throughout the entire length of the appointment, through the inspection, through that second measure, through the close, all of it?
Well,
Tell them you need their help.
part of it is through your warm up, of course. The better and friendlier you get with them, the easier it is to control things. Certain stuff, there's nothing we're going to be able to do, right? I mean, they got to put a kid down and go to sleep. They got to put a kid down and go to sleep. You know, they're in the middle of sitting there cooking dinner or something. You know, they got to be able to walk around, go over there and pull that puppy out of the stove or something like that. So you just got to control it the best way you can, Jimmy, really. What I've always found, though, is the chummier you get with them, the easier it is to ask them to do stuff. Say, come on, you know, Mary, you know, you're just boiling water over there. Let's boil water later. Come on over here and help us out here. Don't be that way. You know, you can get away with stuff that way. But you just got to try to control it the best way you can, Jimmy.
I think
But
it'll be easier with this approach because with the old approach, other than like the few questions during the warm up, we were talking at the homeowners for 90% of the appointment. This is very engaged.
Right.
So I don't think they'll be as inclined to be like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
You know, and then having them do stuff like during the inspection, like, hey, can you hold this for me while I grab this, or can you write this down? You know, can you hold the other end tape measure? I think all those are little things that will probably make it less of an issue than it is currently anyway.
It does. I mean, the way the presentation is designed, it's designed that you sit and you warm up with them for approximately 20 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. You know, then we're going to go ahead and get up and they get they get them off their feet so they can walk around and inspect and everything with you. Then we sit everybody back down for steps 4 and steps 5. And then all of a sudden we get them off their feet again as well for step number 6. And we get that blood moving around again and whatnot. So they're not just sitting there listening to you chatter at them the whole time. You know, if we do things right, we keep them engaged. Yep.
Hey, so one of the things that I noticed, Jimmy, I think I understand what you're asking and relative to what Cody said, because it is how we used to do it. We would just show up and sit there and talk at them and, you know, wear them down or whatever. But one of the first things that I noticed that I really liked about the difference in this approach was the fact that there were opportunities to, you know, seatbelt light is off, you know, feel free to move about the cabin, go a potty break if you need to. I'm going to run out in my car real quick and grab a demo. But, you know, what I've done that's helped change it up for me in that regard is to not come into the appointment with the window demo or anything else other than my bag. Because it gives me an excuse to go out to the car to get something at different stages. And at that time, I'm like, hey, go use your restroom, get a drink of water, whatever you need. I'll be back in just a minute. Go grab my window sample, and then we'll get into that. It's a very different approach than what we're used to. But to Terry's point, you can also really use the warm up for that, depending upon what you're dealing with, and giving them a heads up that there'll be chances to have breaks in the middle if you want to. So, but just having the demo out in the car was one of the big things that I noticed as a big change, where they had a chance to get up, go use the bathroom, whatever they needed to do. Because, you know, 2 to 3 hours in, you could run into issues where they do actually legitimately need to run and use the restroom. So
There's also a big psychological connection from leaving somebody's home and then coming back. I don't knock when I come back in, because there's a study done where if you leave someone's home and you come back in without knocking, it actually builds more trust, that you're showing them you're the kind of person that's trustworthy enough to access their home without re-knocking.
Right.
I try to be going out to my car in 5 minutes.
Well, I do. When I walk out and I get ready to come back in, I always ask right away, look, you're good if I just let myself in,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I've never heard anybody say, no, you gotta knock on the door.
Yeah.
I've never had that happen before.
Yep.
You know, it might, but I've never had that. So,
If you can't have both homeowners for the whole time, being this, so the appointments are running longer, what would you say the critical steps are to engage them? Because sometimes you have to be able to pivot if so-and-so's gotta go pick up the kids from ballet or whatever.
well, I think, hold on for a minute. Okay, why the fuck does she always do that? Look, are you allowed,
I don't even know where you're looking at.
if I shot her,
The girl part.
if I shot her,
Like this far.
I'd get in trouble because she's female and black, wouldn't I?
What's it?
Yes,
Because she's female and black, I'd get in trouble if I just shot her.
you would get in
Well,
trouble.
you
You get in a
gotta
lot
get
of
shot,
trouble.
you get in trouble.
All right,
What is happening? We all wanna know. Who
Bullshit.
was- What's happening?
so every day, there's this lady next door who literally, so here at this shop, you have to parallel park everywhere, up and down the street here,
Yeah.
okay? This lady here next door, this fucking asshole, every day, she parks right on the, I mean,
He was talking about that.
she is right on the bumper, like this, right on the bumper. So
You can't get out.
the other, there's no way to get out of there. And then the car in front, same thing. So I went in there the other day and I asked her, I say, look, anybody that, who belongs to this Cadillac? And the lady says, well, why? I said, well, because whoever's Cadillac, I said, they're like right on my bumper. And she looks, she goes, you can't get out of that? I said, yeah, not unless this is a go-go gadget car, or I just sit there and run your shit over if this is yours. So whose is this? She goes, it's mine. Yeah, I could go ahead and move that. And every single day, she's right on the bumper. She's right on it. Right on it. Right on.
We should move you to that side of the table so it doesn't stress you out until the end of the day.
I'm so pissed now paying attention to this. I want to go out there and burn the fucking car. I'm gonna go out there. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I want to go out there and burn the car. If she wasn't black and a woman, I would do it too. Because if not, now if I did that, we'd have everybody out here picketing from now until Jesus comes back. Pisses me off. You know what? Whatever. All right, let's change the subject. Or I'm gonna get more and more irritated. I'm already starting to get pissed now. God, that makes me so mad. I'm You know-
Okay, Terry, I'm a better driver than you are.
Someone go close the blinds.
Well, the annoying thing is too, we'll turn the car on and it's so close it sets off the sensor.
Oh,
alarms. And
yeah.
it's like,
Okay, so, where was I before I got grouchy?
was asking if there was a time, like what is the
Oh,
most
yes.
pivotal times to have.
Sorry about that,
conversations?
Miss Michelle. You were asked a really good question. And what part is important? You know, truth be told, to me, it all is. I mean, we just have to do the best we can to keep everybody involved. In the end, the only way I know to think about it is that, you know, a married couple, if a guy went out and bought a, you know, $80,000 car for his wife, nobody would say anything. You know, it'd be, oh, that's nice. You know, we could do it. You know, can we afford it? Whatever it may be. Everything's cool. Same thing with, you know, if she goes out and buys a $30,000 Rolex, whatever. Okay. But when you start doing things for the house, the paint color, windows, doors, carpets, cabinets, bathrooms, I mean, how often does really do one leg or is a one leg going to sell for that? How often? Statistically speaking, one leg's closed at an average of 9.5% nationwide in all in-home closing of any kind. Windows, doors, kitchens, bathrooms, swimming pools, all of it. 9.5%. However, with all the decision makers present, that close increases to 32.6% nationwide. Clearly, keeping people at home is a better way to go. So I don't know that there's a real good spot that it's okay, Miss Michelle, for them to be gone longer. The warm up certainly isn't a good place at all because you want to be able to warm up. The company, I guess you could say maybe there a little bit, maybe. Step 5 or the inspection, they sure as shit should be there. Step 5, you certainly want them to be there. I guess the remeasure, if one of them needed to bounce out and go do something, they could. That would be an ideal place, would be there. Step 7, you certainly need them both to be there when you're trying to pre-close, and we definitely need them both to be there for the close. So I guess if there was an ideal spot, Miha, I would say step 6 in the inspection.
Okay. And that's something like during the warm up that we could discover by asking questions and maybe ask the homeowner that's planning to go run the kids to ballet or whatever, what's important to them. And, you know, maybe involve both of them if they're gonna be gone for like, say, 30 minutes, you know, something.
Right, I mean, we can always use an excuse there, right? I mean, hey, look, what do you got? Well, I got a hard stop in an hour and 20 minutes. I've got to go take my kids to ballet. Awesome. You got to take them to ballet. Typically, how long does that take for you to leave and get back? About 20 to 25 minutes. You know what? Can I ask? This will work perfect. This is awesome. This is perfect. Well, what do you mean? I've got a neighbor, or not a neighbor, but I've got a person here in your neighborhood that I actually got to go get a change order and an addendum signed. Okay. That will literally take me about 15 to 18 minutes, give or take a minute or two either way. So when you take off to do that, I'll haul ass to go do that, and then I'll come back. Just leave your stuff there in the living room. What you don't want to do is you don't want one person to take off for 20, 25, 30 minutes, leaving yourself with the other one. Because I assure you, you're not going to get away with talking about business. You're going to get pressured to pitch, for sure. And you don't want them to miss anything. So I would excuse myself from the environment and say, you know what, this is awesome. While you're doing that, just to give me a chance to take care of this right away. And then I'll be back. Chances are I'm probably going to beat you before you get back. You know, and then take that 20 minutes and then come back. Just leave your stuff there. You know, I'm okay to leave my stuff, right? Because I am coming back, so I'm okay to leave this. That's what I would do. But
you could also use like, hey, there's another home and area I want to get some photos of. If you didn't have an addendum and didn't want to like use a white lie like that, you could be like, hey, there's another home and area here I need to grab some photos of, or you know, we did an install recently around here, I need to grab some photos.
Yeah,
Right.
anything like that to excuse yourself from it.
Yeah.
You know, you need to excuse yourself from it. Do what?
Otherwise, what happens, I like that, because otherwise what happens, and this probably happened to everybody who's been selling deals, is you do the measure because that's the least critical point for the spouse to miss. And then once you put that measure tape, then when the other spouse is late coming home, you get pressured back into pitching. Next thing you know, your price condition is slow as you possibly can, waiting for that spouse to come back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Or they just never do.
Not only that,
Okay.
is once you do that and you get that measuring tape up, then it's, you know what? Look, why don't you just go ahead and you got the measurements and everything, put that estimate together and go ahead and send it to us. You know, you get all of that. So I would excuse myself from the environment at that point there. I would just bounce out literally. And like you said, if you don't want to tell that little white lie that I told, tell a different kind of one, you know, go take pictures, whatever you want to do. But your best bet is to get yourself out of the environment. Get yourself out.
So Terry, what if you get pushback from that because they actually were doing this on purpose to try to get you? Like if they're like, oh, no, like you don't, I feel like sometimes people are
Yeah, they
sneaky.
intentionally conspire a
Yeah.
game plan before you show
They
up.
want,
They're like,
they
okay.
want
Pull
the
a
big
several
email.
quotes, we'll do things
They want to
like
see
this.
the dog and pony show, but once you get the measure, they're like, okay, well, this is my part of the exit, and you know, how do you kind of navigate that?
Well, you know, and I've actually had people do that, and I'll just tell them flat out, you know what? Here's the deal. Look, if you're going to take off and go do this, I would prefer to go take off. Look, I was just trying to be real nice about it to go, but while you're there, I'm just going to go ahead and bounce out and take care of this, because the bottom line is I just don't feel comfortable being here by myself with you, with the other party without you being here. That's just the way it is.
So reschedule it if there's, you know, if
No,
if there's come up with
No.
some hard off where one of the
Well-
spouses is leaving.
Okay, you know, I've had the scenario that I just brought up and that you guys just brought up, I have had happen probably twice in 37 years. The chance of it actually coming up is really slim. But if it does, that's how I address it. If they're gonna insist and say, well, no, you don't have to go ahead and do that. Keep talking to my husband. Truth be told, I just don't feel comfortable with that, folks. I don't feel comfortable with having a conversation like this without you being here to get your input, to ask your questions, for me to ask you stuff. That's part of the reason why it's best that we're both here. Tell you what, unless you're really gonna be gone longer and you plan on bouncing out of here and not coming back, is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna bounce out on the window person? Is that what you're doing? Making funny about it. Let's find out. There's a certain amount of truth to all jokes. Joke about it. Let's find out a little bit. Because if that's the type of shit that they're going to do, I don't know that I want to sell them windows now because they're being a sneaky asshole. I don't think sneaky assholes deserve our windows. So I would dig in a little bit and just tell them I don't feel comfortable with doing that, with you not being here, because and be straightforward and upfront about it. It is okay to be straightforward and upfront on certain things. To me, that's one of them. I do believe that the both husband and the wife should be there. Period. They should be, it's their house. So when you start out having the conversation, and then all of a sudden you're an hour into it, it's time to go. Within this hour, look at all the stuff that you probably covered within the hour. We asked our CPA question. We asked our hot button question. We inspected and we pointed things out. And we asked a couple questions in that. So, ma'am, for you to be gone, or sir, for you to take off, for 20, 30 minutes and then do this, not something I feel comfortable with. There's a lot of there's more information that we're getting ready to go through too. So it's important that we sit there and we get your input so I can make the correct assessment for things. So if that's the case, all I'm saying is you're going to be gone for 30 minutes. I'm going to be gone for about 20 to 25. I'll be back before you sit there and get back. But if it turns out this is going to be something longer, then we can always reschedule this for another day. You think it's going to take you longer? Is that what you're saying here? And let's find out. But again, if they're being that sneaky about it, you ain't closing it anyway. At least that day you're not. That's for sure. You're certainly not, if that's a plan. But really and truly, how long is it going to be coming up? I mean, really and truly. It's nice to talk about it and say we got an answer for it, but how often is it really going to come up?
And I think it will come up less than it used to with the change of our approach at the door, because before we were like, hey, look, guys, we're doing just the first 2 homes, boom, 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 so I think that they would establish this plan. Oh, it sounds like they're gonna make us make a decision on the spot. That was very much implied at the door. So they would come up with this strategy to get out of it. That I don't see happening as much, which is probably why you're like, oh, this never happens to me, where for us, it has happened pretty quite a bit, and that's because the juniors are like, well, hey, look, we're sitting down with 3 or 4 people in your neighborhood. We're only doing the first 2. You got to jump on this kind of thing. They feel pressured, even though we're like, oh, it's not high pressure. It was,
And never get the qualification question, which
Yeah.
sometimes juniors do is worded in a weird way.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we'll get less of that than the senior partners who have been around for a while have the experience in the past.
I feel like your calling too would help reinforce that.
Yeah, because I am the one calling and saying like, hey, life has got in the way, we're gonna go through, going over the agenda and all that kind of stuff too. So I agree with that.
All right, cool.
Yeah, and that part is good too. I mean, we had a deal canceled yesterday when I called it, and Mrs. Richardson was very sweet. She's, look, I am so glad you called. I was trying to find your guys' phone number. I said, well, what happened? And she said, literally, my daughter has the flu. Now you can come over if you'd like, but it would be best that if you do, you dress warm, you wear a mask, and we should probably sit on the porch, because I really don't want you guys to sit there and get the flu. But I don't mind if you don't mind. Okay, it's 25, 27 degrees. Yeah, I'm not going to send somebody out there at night to sit on some damn porch out there. Chances are when the kid's not sick in a few days, we'll go back out. But a good confirmation there, we wouldn't sit there and do that. If not, we'd have sent a rep all the way out there, literally for no reason, literally. So the confirmation is good, but again, I don't really get that scenario a whole lot. Maybe like you said, Cody, probably because of the approach at the door is going to be different. Therefore, we might not get that near as much. So again, if I sit there and say, look, you're really not going to get that, I should clean it up and say my experience in the way and the type of leads I've always ran and what we do. not something that comes up hardly at all. So, there is a difference in the, I guess, the type of lead-ish that we run for sure, from Apex to what I'm used to, so.
Do your canvassers now give an estimated time so
No.
that, okay,
Did you guys hear her question?
Yeah.
Okay. For those that didn't, it was, do we give a time at the door? I don't like times at the door. However, what I would sit there and say, that's up to the local MSP. If the local MSP wants to sit there and throw a time at the door, go ahead. I don't believe in it. I don't like it at all. I think it pigeonholes the sales rep, and I think it puts them in a bad spot, is what it does. And I don't like it. I'd rather ask and answer the question a different way. To me, there's no sense in volunteering how long we're going to be there unless a customer asks, how long will this take? And if a customer asks, how long does it take? I think there's a better way and a better answer to give to overcome that. So if I was knocking on Jimmy's door and Jimmy told me, oh, so let me ask you a question. How long is this going to take? Well, sir, let me ask you a question first before I answer that. How many windows do you have on your home, sir? How many do you have?
15.
Yeah, 15. Okay, that being said, one of the things that we're going to do when we come out is we do a free window inspection and analysis, if you will. That takes approximately about a minute and a half per window to do that. And that means that minute and a half includes going from one room to the next, opening up curtains, opening up blinds, raising up blinds, things like that, getting behind couches. So you figure 15 windows at a minute and a half is going to put you right at 22, 23 minutes. One of the other things we're going to have to do is measure and build, different colors, different color options, screen options, glass options, things like that. That typically takes about 2 to 2.5 minutes per window at least. So at 15 windows at 2.5 minutes, you're looking roughly at another 45 minutes now. So 45 minutes and 30 minutes, you're already an hour and 15 minutes, and that's just messing with the 2 windows. Not counting, talk a little bit about the company, answer all your questions, give you the options. So my question to you would be, do you have somewhere that you need to be? And then ask it that way. But I would go that route so at least the customer gets an understanding that makes sense. To tell somebody, well, it could be an hour and a half, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on how many questions you have. Well, in my mind, when you tell me that, Jesus Christ, how many questions do you think I'm going to ask, for crying out loud? I'm not stupid. How many questions do you think I'm going to ask? But when you give them a certain part of the pitch, how long it takes to measure and how long it takes to build, and we haven't done anything else, that'll resonate, and that makes better sense to everybody also. It's okay, I can see why that would take a couple hours. I get that now. I can see that now. So you'll tend to buy more time that way by explaining it like that. Make sense? And that's what we want to teach our JSPs to do as well, is to answer it that way. How long is this going to sit there and take your guy? Well, I don't know. You know what? Let me ask you a question real quick, and I can kind of give you a better answer. How many windows do we have on the home?
20.
We've got 20. Minute and a half. So 20 in a minute, that's 20 minutes. Half of that, it's going to be 10. So there's 30 minutes. 3 minutes to sit there and build. 2 minutes to build. It's another 40 minutes, 60 minutes. You're already on an hour and a half now. And we haven't done anything yet. We haven't answered any questions yet. So.
Yeah, the only thing.
Sure.
Because I want to set up the senior partner, whoever, I know for this time being, for success. So I don't want the homeowner to think like, hey, she's going to come out, measure up, throw a number.
yeah,
She's
45
out.
minutes.
So I agree, we should avoid saying the time, but how do we relay to them that this isn't just the guy coming out throwing a number after they measure?
Well, I mean, so I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Cameron was asking, how to, I guess basically how to let them know how long this is going to take. I mean, again, my answer would be the agenda is it, explain to me exactly what's going to happen. Look, Kate's going to come out. She's going to sit and talk to you guys for a second, kind of pick your brain and figure out what you may or may not be looking for. After that, she's going to inspect all of your windows to get an idea of what we're dealing with.
I got you.
Possibly point out some challenges you may or may not know that you had. And in the event we do that, offer some temporary solutions that you can use till you eventually get around to doing this. Then from there, we're gonna go ahead and literally build the window that you best, that you feel best suits your needs. I'll possibly make some suggestions that may or may not make this more cost effective. Then after that, we'll get these puppies all measured up and get you that low price we were talking about. So when you're saying that, it's clear that this is gonna take a second. This is gonna take a minute, If you feel a little funny about it though, because you think that they are pressed for time, then just come out and ask them. This is what happens. So let me ask you a question. Is it that do you have somewhere to go? Is this gonna catch you at a bad time? What's going on?
Frazier's on at 6.
Frazier's on at 6. Okay, well, Frazier's on at, and I get you, right? Nobody wants to miss Frazier. However, there's these cool things called recordings now, and we can record that puppy. Okay, we can do all that, or we can stream it and look it up on Julio or whatever they call it.
Definitely from El Paso.
Julio, whatever. The green
Bust out
guy.
that TiVo, Terry.
What?
Bust out that TiVo.
Yeah, that one. So
This is an 80-year-old lady who's never heard of TiVo. She likes her Frazier and her
Yeah.
scotch at 6.
Well, when we only run across 3 or 4 of those a year, it's no
I'm
big deal.
totally messed.
Yeah.
I'm not uncomfortable about telling them anything. I just want to know how just so when cake comes out, they know that this isn't just a
Yeah.
And I get you.
Yeah, and that's what we want to do. I mean, we want to make sure that they understand this is a big deal. I mean, when you're talking about the inspection, hey, look, what I'm going to inspect, not only am I going to inspect it, but I'm going to do a thermal imagery evaluation of your home also, both inside and out. I mean, we're going to get after this and find out where your holes are, see where we can go ahead and get you some help here, And for that guy that's going to stand there and say, well, I know it's messed up. That's awesome. I'm glad you know, but I don't. I don't know where it's at. I don't know where the secret, rooms are at in this house. I just don't. So in order to give you the correct assessment, here's what I've got to do. And if I can't do that, I don't know how to sit down and price this up for you, unless you just want one of those people that want a ballpark price. Because if you do, Yankee Stadium was $144 million. If that's a good enough ballpark for you, there you have it. But beyond that, I don't know how to price this up. This is what I've got to do.
It's like that yesterday.
You see, so
In my experience, when people are asking that question or thinking that it's gonna take less time, it's because they don't understand how complicated windows are. They think it's a simple, you should come out, measure it up, give me a price, So I think the line that you have where you're talking about how, the windows and doors make up 35% of your home, and it's the most complicated piece of that home envelope. Like, you owe it to yourself to take the time to get all the information and make the right choice. Don't shortcut this. It's one of the biggest decisions you'll make on the house. Make the right one the first time,
Sure. Again, largest investment the average person makes in a lifetime, home the contents that are in it. Average person, home and the contents that are in it. Not everybody is running around buying yachts, and living in a shack. So it would make sense to why we want to make sure. So that's the direction I would go, But the time thing, I'm not a big fan of time at all. I think there's just a better way to dig in to give a time without actually giving one. You give them that part of it, this for the windows to inspect, just to measure, and we haven't even done anything else. Let me ask you a question. Are you asking because you have somewhere you have to be? So I totally avoided sort of giving them an actual answer, but I gave them enough to know that this is going to take a minute. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, Terry, I got a question. Backtracking into step 3, when you're inspecting the windows and you do find problems, looking back, I don't have like a list of temporary solutions that we can give them.
Well, because that's a good one, brother. Because for the most part, you're not really giving one. The solution is to sit there and use our window. Nobody ever holds you to, well, what's the temporary? I mean, some stuff you'll be able to say, right? Truth be told, if you want to sit there and help cut back on some of this, you can put, some people will put foil up, folks. But I would sit there and tell you for the time being, you can go ahead and put up saran wrap plastic on there. That doesn't exactly look the best, but at least you can sit there and see through that. Well, that's the best advice you got. Well, unfortunately, the best advice that I have for you, you know, you're not wanting to go ahead and do because you're a cheap bastard. And so this is a cheap way to fix your shit, use plastic, pal. You know, let's put some cardboard up. How about some blues painter's tape or, you know, it's kind of like putting a Band-Aid on your head and writing ouch, you know?
You're like, why,
So-
they're crashing the windows at that point.
But at the same time too, you're gonna see some people that's got cracks in it. We can sit there and offer some help and say, hey, look, one of the things you can do here so it doesn't spider anymore is to go ahead and put clear tape on it on both sides. That'll help keep it from moving, you know, until you eventually get around to doing this. I mean, it's not gonna be 100% fixed. It's not gonna stop it completely, but it'll give you a better chance so it doesn't fall on somebody. You know, there are certain things we will be able to help out with for sure, you know.
This,
Some-
that you would do.
Some people, believe it or not, when they can't lock their window, you know, I just don't know what to do. Well, let's wedge a stick in it, you know. Tell you what, the window's shitty already anyway. It's an aluminum window. Take it here, take a drill through the frame and run a screw through it. You know, you can go ahead and do that too. So, you know, there are things that we can tell somebody for sure, but in the end,
We're not
regardless
gonna
of-
give-
I've never had the same thing. Do what?
Would you ever give any type of temporary solution if you're running into mold and mildew growth? So I think that would not be something to offer temporary.
Well, I mean, the only thing really and truly for mold and mildew they can do is, you know, you can clean it and then you can go ahead and spray a mold and mildew thing, and literally not one that you buy from the store. You'll have to get some good stuff. That'll certainly help a little bit. Folks, you can try to go ahead and do this, but here's where your problem is, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. I can offer some sort of solution for you here. The solution I can't offer for, though, is the challenges you may or may not be having in your wall. The chances are you have one, though, right? Again, it's kind of like the sun in plants like grass. As the sun moves across the sky, your blades of grass move with the sun because typically plants follow the sun. Well, mold is opposite. Mold follows the dark. What we're able to see is what we're able to see and clean. What you can't see and how much of it is actually what's going back and inside your wall where it's actually dark, because that's where the mold wants to be. So I can't offer a temporary solution for you there other than to tell you, look, let's get away from that so you're not breathing all this stuff, because it can't be good, right? Not all mold is penicillin.
Yep.
So, you know, this can't be good. Maybe at the very least, we take care of these 2 or 3 windows here and these get you started at the very least.
And some immune system boosters.
You know, yeah, some immune system boosters, you know, some jumping jacks and shit. Stop breathing when you're in the house. So that's what I would sit there and say, though, as far as solutions goes. Yeah, Code.
Oh, I was just stretching.
Oh,
But are you a little cool off from that lady outside now? You seem calm down.
try not to look out. She's no. Look at
Thank
How
you, Terry.
close is she again?
Okay, but to be fair,
We need our own.
Oh my God.
Wow, holy shit, she's not even in the parking spot.
Retired, sorry.
No, she's
hold
not.
on though. Here's the problem though. If you notice where she is,
That's not a parking spot.
where does it end the parking?
The parking ends at the end of there. That thing goes diagonal into the street. That's not a parking spot.
You didn't leave enough space for her to be. Maybe you
No,
should
no,
have
no,
pulled
no.
up further.
That's not a parking spot, period. That's why it goes diagonal. You're supposed to leave it that way so you don't rear end pulling around this corner. The fucking lady is in my car. I'm gonna burn her car. Cameron, do me a favor on the next break. Run up the street and buy me a gallon of gas.
We're gonna offer.
Can I?
Oh, wait. All right, Cameron, you can't do it. I'm gonna need you to do that, buddy. Cameron decided not to. He said, let's think about this. He goes, gasoline, you know, Middle Eastern guy. Yeah, right, man. He's driving around in a white van. Did you hear? Did you guys hear what he said?
That's
I don't think we got any money.
Yeah.
I have one
Up
question.
to our lines. Yeah. Yeah, never mind, Cameron, you're not allowed to go get the cats, dude. Yeah, the police waiting outside for you by the time you fill that thing
Mel
up.
just barely lets me in.
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. I thought all of your people hung out at 7-Eleven, bro. You can go get it
No,
from
they
7-Eleven.
own the 7-Eleven.
They own the 7-Eleven. Tell them you're the uncle.
Terry, HR is about to call. I think Nicole had a question.
What's the question, Nicole?
So let's say it's a big house, it's like 40 windows, but like when, they told the junior at the door, they are only interested in replacing 8 windows. So obviously, we're gonna inspect all the windows, but then when we go to measure, should we still try to measure all of the windows or just the ones that they want?
We always measure every window in the house. Always. Always, 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 always. It is an absolute crime to not measure all the windows in the house and to not give a price. That is an absolute crime.
Yeah.
As in like window crime. That's probably window crime number 1 right there. Okay.
And if they say something about it, I always say, regardless of how many windows we choose to do at the end, at least I have measure completely
Right.
ready for your next phase.
Right. I mean, every time I've ever explained that to somebody, when somebody has said, well, look, we only went interested in doing these 8 windows, not the other 32. And I understand that, folks, but let me explain to you how this works, okay? Number 1, since we map out the house the way that we do, by measuring all the windows, I get the measurements for everything, including the room and the whole bit. This way, later on down the road, when you're ready to go ahead and do another phase, we don't have to keep coming out here and going through this rigmarole this way. So you have to keep sitting through it. That's number 1. We can handle a lot of it right over the phone. The other reason why I go ahead and do this is so we can go ahead and give you a price on the entire amount, because part of knowing is actually knowing. So you have an idea in your mind what it's actually going to cost for the entire house. You're not going to be able to sit there and let's say you got 32 windows and we're going to do 8. You'll just multiply that price by 4. It doesn't work that way, folks. Windows are like donuts, right? Doesn't mean you can eat them, but you buy a donut by itself for $1.80, or you buy them by the dozen for $10.99 a dozen. And in this case here, the windows work that way. The windows will be cheaper per unit by with the whole thing. And as we work our way down, then you'll be able to see a difference and we can figure out where the best savings for you needs to be. Now that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
They'll say yes, but you got to measure the whole thing. You have to give yourself an opportunity to sell the entire house. You have to give yourself the opportunity, the opportunity to sell it. And we have to give the customer the opportunity to say no, too. Okay. So just because the customer says, I can't afford to do this, they don't know that. They don't know that they can't afford to do the whole house. For all you know, they're saying that is because they had Sears, Renewal by Anderson, and DeBella come out to their house, who gave these guys a $3,500 per unit cost on a window. So in their mind, all window companies cost that. But the reason why they're calling us is because they haven't told us anything else. So they're going to say, look, we're only interested in these 8 windows, because they don't want to tell you that you can't afford the entire amount. For all we know, when the last company came out, they talked like they were, John and Mary Moneybucks, found out that they're not to afford that window, and they don't want to sit there and say, I can't afford it. So the best thing to do now is get another company out to say, I'm only interested in these 8. So let's get a price in front of them. Maybe we shock the shit out of them. And then if you're smart, price differently. We'll talk about that in the close later, but price differently. If you got 10 windows on the house and they're exactly the same size, they're all 36 by 60 inch windows, then pitch that job at, 42%. Try to sell it at 40 or 42%. But if they phase down the 5 windows, then give them a price of a margin of 53, 54, 55% margin. You go up in price, not down, not the same. If you're going to do that, what's the motivating factor for them to do all of them? None. If the price is gonna be the same, so why are you pricing the same? That's insane. And we live in a society that everybody understands that. You know, buy 2 12-packs, get 2 12-packs free. You know?
Yep.
Buy potato chips for $4.99, or if you buy 4 bags, you get them at $1.88 a piece. List goes on and on and on and on and on. Tires for $100, 4 for $2.99. So when you start to phase down, you don't lower your price, you raise it. That's nuts. The dollar amount is still going to be lower, even though the margin is going to be higher. But that's what you do. And why wouldn't you? But if you don't do that, what's the motivating factor for somebody to sit there and buy all 10 windows instead of just getting the 5? Because we charge that little $250 or whatever it is. Boy, howdy, that'll move a needle. That'll do it.
I can definitely see happening too, because I've had a lot of people who, when I had measured the whole house, they did, maybe 8 windows or whatever, then they called back a few days later, like, hey, you know what, we decided we want to add on the living room. So between inspecting everything, putting on their radar, like, there are these issues, if they only signed a contract for the 8, but then they're looking at this bedroom, they put the kid down to sleep, they're like, fuck, you know what, it is moldy and mildewy here, I don't like that. Just having to not have you have to come back out might be enough of the barrier to entry lower, that they say, just call the guy and let's add the rest of the windows, since he doesn't have to come out.
My kids love that.
Case in point.
100%. Hey, Mark,
Yes, sir.
I'm assuming you're taking notes and not emailing everybody, right?
Both.
Okay, let's not be doing that, please. Okay, let's not be doing that. No emails, no texts. Okay, so let's not be doing that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool hairs, but only because the situation has come up where Kate went to a house they had literally replaced with FiberX 2 years ago for half their home, and they were going to phase it. And then we came out, they ended up doing their second half with us. Now, when the home only has 2-year-old FiberX windows, are we really going to remeasure those guys as well too?
Chances are no, but if I'm in the house as the MSP, I damn sure enough I'm gonna try to.
Why? Even if you know that both know that it's 2 years old, and it was then that.
Well, sure, for all we know, though, that just because the windows are only 2 years old doesn't mean they like them. They may not like the windows. You may have somebody in saying, look, I just don't like these damn things. Great company, I think the product's good, but now that I've got it in there, the frames are too damn big. It sucks, my blinds won't go back up, truth be told. It doesn't look quite as nice as I thought it was going to. Hell yeah, I'd measure that puppy up and see what happens.
I had that
Let's just
exact,
see.
I had that exact situation happen to me a couple of years ago, and the second phase with us, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The full home with us was less expensive than just the second phase with Anderson, so they did end up pulling everything so that they would match aesthetically, because I moved them to an architectural bronze frame.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you'll be surprised, but yeah, absolutely you do, here,
Like first phase before they moved out, and then someone else bought the house, and they weren't the ones that put the FiberX on there, so maybe they won't want them.
right, well, you take here in Seattle, and I got on the phone with Leah. Leah calls me one day, she's in the house. Customers had 4 of their windows replaced already by Home Depot. So there was, I think, a total of 11 total windows on the house, and then the 4 from Home Depot. Well, price up the 4 windows too, though. Just don't, if it's me, if you've been doing this business long enough, you can be able to look at the window and kind of ballpark it. In our case, pricing is easier because it's X amount of dollars if it's under 100 UIs, and then it becomes more if it's over, right? So you happen to see those 4 windows, all 4 of those windows are less than 100 UI. You already know what the cost is going to be. When you're pricing up the windows, include the cost in that. Just include it, automatically do it. And then tell the customer, let me ask you a question. When you bought those 4 windows, what did you pay for those 4 windows? Let's see what happens. Well, I sit there and I paid $2,000. So you paid $500 a piece. Yes. Okay. The reason why I'm asking is we have a program that we can help out with. and we can go ahead and give you $1,000 back on your windows in the form of a discount. This price is going to include those 4 windows, and here's our $1,000 off. Buy the damn windows back or buy part of it back.
That's so smart.
Okay,
You like, I know you just said.
You-
I don't know what
Love
you like,
that.
just read-
you can do that. What's wrong with that? You weren't listening?
I was listening, but I just want
Then
to,
if you were listening, why am I fucking repeating?
I just want to make sure.
Okay, do I need to go make that lady move so you can breathe a little bit?
Yeah. So, what you do is you just automatically include the window cost in.
Yeah.
Then when you do that, you let the customer know, look, find out how much you pay for this. If you don't mind my asking, how much? I don't know. It was around $2,000. Okay, well, that being said, check this out. You know, obviously we know by now though, these are not the best of windows. Here's my quote. After you've worked on that quote a little bit, just so you know, this actually includes the other 4 windows as well. And what we've done is we've sat there and bought back part of these windows at $1,000.
I see.
And this is actually going to include that as well. So we can get rid of these inferior windows for you.
I love
Buy the
that.
windows back.
Yep.
You can do that a lot. You can do that with Window World. You can do that with Lowe's. You can do that with Home Depot. Buy the windows back. At the same time, too, this is getting ahead, but here's another one. This is the reason why margin is the thing. You have to have margin so you can do all kind of bullshit. You know, you're pricing at 43 and 45 and 50% margin. When you know that they got a couple windows there that you might need to sit there and this could mess things up and queer things, cool. Then hit this at a higher margin, 53%, 52%, and let's start buying some things back and get that thing back down and tell them this is what we're doing. All of a sudden, that fear of loss isn't there for the customer now. Okay, well, I'm not exactly losing out and I'm getting a better win and giving them money. All right, yeah, that works. I like that. You know, I bought lots of windows back. The other thing you can use it for is buy interest as well. Buying interest. So do me a favor, everybody, or somebody, pull your calculator out. Somebody pull a calculator out and give me some numbers here.
7, 12.
Those are awesome numbers too, all of which, yes, I am taller than 12 inches, pal. So, let's take a window with $850 is what par is. Let's just take $850.
Okay.
Give me a price on the window with a 40% margin. What would that be? Anybody?
1417.
1417. Okay, let's just round it down for easy numbers and say 1400. Now give me a par price on the same window, 850. Give me a price at 53% margin.
1800.
100. So what we have here is the difference of $400, right? Is what we got per unit. Now, let's just say we've got 10 units on this house. That's $4,000. Now at $4,000, I can do some shit with that. Maybe I know I have to probably buy a couple windows here, or maybe at least give half the money or whatever it may be. Okay. I now know I got 4 G's to monkey with, because that's the difference between 53% margin and 40% margin. Here's another thing. You present the price at 53% margin. Guy says, yeah, I like the price. I like all of that, but I can't afford to pay cash. And I really don't, I'm doing the math here. And it says here, I'm going to pay $9,800 in interest. I just don't want to pay all that interest, man. It freaks me out. Tell you what, sir, I can go ahead and do this for you. Why don't we do this? Okay. If you'll raise your expectation just a little, we'll lower ours a little. Here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and take $2,000 off the cost of the windows, or $3,000 off the cost of the windows. Your interest rate is going to be still the same, but at least you're not paying as much in interest for this amount here. Buy some of the interest back. Buy the interest. See what the difference is between the payments. Do the total math out. Find out what that difference is. Say, hey, look, here's what I'm going to buy back from you in the form of a discount by doing it this way. Having money in your jobs allows you to do things when you need to sit there and being nimble, or we need to pivot in a different direction for a certain thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Even on a cash deal. Look, if you start out on a cash deal at 20 grand and you know you can go to 15,000 if you've got to, but you're sitting on 18,000, whatever price you sit on, a customer more often than not is going to work you for a price no matter what. I mean, just because Apex is on our shirt, I mean, you seniors aren't going to try to convince me that, oh no, once we give a price, that's it. They say yes. Nobody ever talks to us about price. What a load of bullshit that is. I know that's bullcrap. I know that's bullcrap. So whatever price you're going to give them, they're going to work you on that price no matter what. It's like when we were doing the financing. The reason you start at 9.9% is so when we drop down to 6.9%, the customer gets the euphoria of winning, and then that works. But if you start at 6.9%, that's going to be a problem. Now what they're going to want is 3.9. You know, if you give a mouse a cookie, he wants a glass of milk. Okay, so we start out here so we can do things. So holding margins is for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons to hold margins, and it allows us to be able to be nimble and be able to pivot in different directions in the house. And buying windows is one of them. When we're inspecting, we should be able to see this now. Hey, when did you've had this windows replaced? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, we replaced this one and this one with Window World. We replaced this one and this one with Lowe's or Home Depot. Well, you know, that's probably about $300 to $500 a piece then. You know that now, which is cool because we can buy those windows we can buy the whole thing back then in the form of a discount. You got 3 windows. I got $4 grand to pay with. They charge $500 a piece for these. That's $1,500. Tell you what we'll do. We have a program here that we're going to go ahead and buy your windows back in the form of a discount. You spent $1,500. We're going to take $1,500 off of our costs, because what we don't want is we don't want to do a house that we're using as a model home and as a promotional home and have these 3 cheesy windows on here like this from this other company and let that spoil our good windows. So here's what we're willing to do for you. Hell, people eat that up like nobody's business. They'll eat that up. So that's why you hold margins, guys. Anyway, I know I got off on a tangent, so sorry about that. But when we're inspecting, those are the things that we're paying attention to. Have they had the windows replaced? You know, some of them, and then let's find out where we got them from then. You know, or this could happen. This happens quite a bit. Customer's only been in the house for 3 or 4 years. 3 or 4 of the windows, 5 of the windows, 6 of the windows have already been replaced by another company. You know, I noticed that these things have already been replaced. You guys do them now? Other companies did it really well. How do you like these windows here? Not particularly. I don't particularly care for them. Great. Price everything up. Do what you do. Hey, look, check this out. One of the things that we do as a company is when we run across stuff like this with our competitors' window on, we give everybody $300 back in a form of a discount on the windows. So you're actually going to get an additional $1,800 off that promotional price I'm going to give you. Then take the $1,800 off and give it to them. Promotional pricing is whatever we say it is. 53% margin, that's promotional. If that's what a customer feels comfortable with and believes that they got a good deal, that's promotional. As is 46, as is 37. You know, but we should notice that when we're inspecting, though, everybody, we need to pay attention to that and then ask the question, you know. So any other questions?
I know it's probably not right now, but eventually we're gonna go over how to like calculate the measurements
Yeah.
and all that stuff.
Yeah. So let me see. I'm looking at Portland for a minute. No. Nope, that's going to be good. Mark, nope. Cam is all by himself. So typically the way this would work is next week, we would start getting into step 6 and 7 and pricing and all that. Probably for the first couple days, MSPs, you guys are going to handle that on your own. Pricing should be done right there where you guys are at to teach how, because all of our margins are different in every location and the adders that we got to do. I don't want everybody hearing all that shit, because here in Seattle, when you sell a window, apparently if it's a wood house, you're supposed to sit there and like throw salt over your left and right shoulder, do the hula for 2 minutes, and then sit there and hit your knees and pray before you sell. So I don't want you guys to have to sit there and everybody see all that. So next week, we're probably going to pick up on this thing Wednesday. That's going to give Monday and Tuesday your MSPs to work with you on pricing. The only thing that we're going to do together as a group on Monday is the test. So we do have our test for this week coming up next week, Monday. So we'll do that, and then I'll leave the pricing up to the local MSPs. On Wednesday, then what we'll do is we'll get together on what I would tell you to do this every single time. Add this, start here. Here's what we're going to start doing. Again, another way to be able to hold margin. Holding margins allows us to be able to do certain things, buy certain things that we need, take better trips, have better bonuses, order sample kits, order heat lamps, stuff like that. But if we continue to sell at the margins that we're selling, we're not going to be able to get any of those things. And how are we supposed to be any better if we don't have the correct tools, in your car to be better? That is the number one thing that I've argued with Apex since I've been here. Cody will certainly tell you, as will Mark and Kate, if she was here, how much I bitched about that. But they ask us as seniors to learn how to sell windows. And all sales reps should have, at the very least, a FLIR camera, which is awesome because they'll put a FLIR camera up as a bonus, right? So a senior has a chance to win that. That's awesome. But yet we sit there and talk about this Agoge and the Spartan training. I saw the movie 300 also. I saw it. And in the 300, I never sat there and saw in the movie, nor have I read about the Spartans, that once they got trained, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send you out to a war. And if you come back alive, then I'm going to give you a shield. And then when you go to the next war, if you come back alive, then we're going to go ahead and give you a sword. And if you survive that one, then we'll give you a spear. In the time being, though, you have to go to war and use bad language in order to win. But if you survive it, we're going to give you the tools to sit there and continue to survive. That might be the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. And for my salesmen and sales ladies, for our sales reps, to not have the tools that they need to have to be successful and be better warriors, if you will, is an absolute crime. But in order for me to win these arguments, we have to be able to hold margin so I can sit there and it gives me a chance to do things. And selling at 26 and 28% doesn't cut it. That the cup of coffee, even if it is the Michael Foyt latte, won't allow me to be able to do things. So that's what holding margin allows us to do too. It allows me to be able to go out and get better bullets for you guys to go hunting with, So give me some, help me out here. Help, Cam out and help Mark out and help Kate and help Cody. Help us out here. Help us help you in this case here. This is very much Jerry Maguire. And in the course of doing that and holding on more margins, what's really cool about it is you'll actually make more money. That's so weird because I know everybody on this phone call is independently wealthy.
Need of nothing.
Right?
Soon.
So soon. Okay. I guess Cameron's gonna go blow up that bank and then it'll be okay.
So Mary, do you want us to have like a scheduled, like a call just like this on Zoom on Monday where we go over the test, meet in the office? Do you want to do that at the same time early in the day? Do you want to do it closer to the Monday meeting? What's the plan? on
No,
that?
I'd say let's do it closer to your guy, to the Monday meeting. Let's just make sure we pick the same time. Because once we're done with the test, I also want to make sure that, we're also role playing this and working with each other on this, okay? There should be a lot of role playing going on in Portland, especially with the bigger groups they have. We should be doing, we got to get into role playing here. The disadvantage that we have is you guys are also juniors as well. So we got to find a way to be able to do that as well. But, so I want them to be able to come in, to be able to go through that as well. But at the same time too, door knocking has dropped off. The production of door knocking has dropped off. I am sure your MSPs have talked to you about it, because I talked to them about that with them. So we've got to still be able to get after it and do our job. We still got to knock doors. And seniors, we still got to get out there and help. I know that we're trying to learn this, but we still got to get out there and do our job also. The business still has to run, okay? The business has to run, and truth be told, we're not selling any business except in Seattle. We've got to be better at that, like right now too. Still got to learn, but we still got a job to do. So we got to do our job as well. And keeping the lights on is an important thing. In my book, it is anyway. Apparently, GDI is kind of making a big deal about it now. You know, bums, deadbeats, those guys. So
no training tomorrow then?
nope. I'm gonna work with these guys here and go over some stuff. I don't think that we're gonna need to. I think we're kind of ahead of stuff a little bit here. Part of that is because we don't have heat lamps and things like that to be able to do more on. But you guys shouldn't have enough to know how to train a little bit, role play. I think every location has a heat lamp kit though, so you can use that. Do you have yours, Cody?
Yep.
Yeah, you do. So everybody has a heat lamp kit except for Seattle to be able to play with. So you guys can at least train on that. And like I said, this weekend, I'm going to see if I can get a customer. If we can get that recorded, cool. If not, by Monday, I will have a video for you guys. And yes, I'll have Phil take care of it.
Don't let them fuck it up like he did that hedge.
I know, right? But here's the cool thing about being both his boss and his father. I can get 4 or 5 of us to get in the line, and we'll just beat the shit out of him. And I'll tell the cop just getting an adult spanking. That's all. You know. So, any questions for me before we get going? I'm gonna let you guys go early. Let's get you out of here. Any questions? All right, guys, let's study. We still got to do our job, but we have to study. Okay, we have to. You can always tell the athletes that work in the off season. On Monday, we're going to find out how much farther along we are. I certainly expect not to see as many 60s on these tests that I saw.
Somebody got a 60.
Hey,
Okay.
Terry, I forgot, there was something I was gonna, Shadow had a cool story that I wanted him to share with the whole group.
I love when you do
That's funny as shit, dude. Hey, Cody, I'm sorry. These guys didn't get to see.
All right, I'll do it again.
Let's just.
So Shadow had a little bit of a story that I wanted him to share with everybody too.
Oh my God.
That's funny as shit. That's hilarious. That's it. That's much better. Now I don't want to go and burn that lady's car now.
That's how it's open.
So, yes, bologna and car. Any questions, anything like that?
Shadow's story that you can share.
Do what?
So yesterday, I had an appointment that was set 3.5 weeks ago, and Cody had called 3 times, left 2 voicemails to this woman, and no response. Went out to the appointment, ended up talking to her adult son, and he was like, "Oh yeah, she's not here. I didn't even know you were coming out," kind of thing. So I was like, "Okay, cool. I'll try to give her a call when is she around?" And he was like, "Oh, she's not gonna be back until 5:30 this evening." And it was like midday when I was out there. So I came back to the office, did a bunch of work, and then drove back out to the house at 5:30 and ended up getting in front of her for unfortunately a reschedule, but tried to get in the house to run the appointment still, saying, you know, maybe there was just some miscommunication on what time we were supposed to meet today. And she gave me the whole, yeah, I'm actually, something we definitely need to do. We can't do it tonight. We've got family coming over for dinner, and they were cooking and doing everything over there. So we're gonna get that one rescheduled, get back in the house and get that one sold. Their windows are woefully inadequate and in desperate need of being changed. So, yeah, so that one's from ghosting us on the phone, not being there for the appointment time, still getting in front of her, getting my card, building some rapport with her, and then getting her rescheduled to go run the appointment. It was kind of nerve wracking to go back out hours later unannounced in the dark, but yeah, it worked out, or is it going to work out for sure?
Yeah, we worked on some word track on that, and just kind of this, it goes back to that special trip thing, you know, hey, Cody called, I know Cody called to confirm, we didn't hear otherwise, so we came on out, made a special trip, you know, I told him, just tell him, hey, I'm in the area, I didn't want you guys to think that we wouldn't fulfill our side of the obligation Billy made with you whenever he set the appointment, and in the past, a lot of those times, we just would have canceled, we would have been like, screw that person, they ghosted us, just cancel the appointment, so that worked out really good.
Sure. I mean, again, we're allowed to go back again and hit them with, again, special trip them, word track. You'll be good to go. You'll be surprised how many of those you'll actually get back in on too. Very surprised. So, anything else, anybody? Anybody? All right, listen. Yes, ma'am.
To be determined on Monday?
I didn't hear you, Miss Michelle. You said what now?
Oh, the test time and meeting time on Monday are to be determined?
Yeah, to be determined. We got to get together with all the other MSPs to find out what's a good time. My thought is probably, I would say 11 o'clock-ish in that area. So 11 o'clock Phoenix time would be 10 o'clock for Seattle and Portland. That would be 11 o'clock in Salt Lake, but that would be 12 o'clock in Dallas. So that's my thought, is about that time. I mean, what time do you have everybody coming in on Mondays, Cody?
I mean, generally we're doing the meeting at 11, but you know, we can push it around too.
Okay, Mark, what time do you have everybody coming in out there in Dallas?
Usually earlier, but since we've been doing this training, we've been having them come in at 1:30. So it just depends on when you guys want to do it. So if you want to do it earlier or later, we can plan around that.
How about we just do this then? Let's just make a hard time now for 11 o'clock Phoenix time. So 11 o'clock, that's gonna be 11 o'clock Phoenix, 11 o'clock Salt Lake, 12 o'clock Dallas, 10 o'clock for Seattle and Portland. That'll be an hour before your guys' jam time or meeting time anyway, Cody.
Sounds good.
That works.
I wonder if this.
And then nothing on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, it won't do it.
7, 9, 7.
Why are you asking me?
One more. Is there any chance that we can get an outline so that we can stare at it and look at it and ponder what steps 8, 9, and 10 are?
8, 9, and 10 is a little different. So there's really not an outline for 8. We have to put it up on the board and show you how to price it. Okay. So there's not really an outline at all. 9 is, there is zero outline. It's your paperwork. It's your contract. It's all the stuff you already know how to do now. In fact, every single one of you that's sitting at this table, except for probably Tanner and Diana and the new ones here in Seattle, every one of you can sit there and tell me more about how to put this pricing stuff together in step 9 than I can tell any of you. Okay, so I can just tell you where I would be price wise, and step 10 is very simple as well. It's literally a couple of questions and then we figure it out from there. And that's just the button down. There really isn't anything to outline there. You ask one simple, couple simple questions in the button down, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, have you, you know, when you do it, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we've
No, I said.
I just lost my train of thought. Step number 10 is button.
Sounds like it's not something like.
Yeah, it's really 2 or 3 questions and that's all. One, we're just trying to find out, hey, look, when you talk to your family, friends, or neighbors or a coworker, and you tell them what you did, how much you did it for, if they tell you you're out of your mind, what would you say to that? What are you going to say? We really, I think Cody and I, Cody? We went over basically 9 and 10 in half an hour yesterday, you and I.
Yeah.
If even that long. It's nothing. So your big things are going to be steps 1 through 5. 6, of course, is the measuring, take them with you. And then 7 is memorize the pre-close. So who here is uncomfortable with the pre-close? The asking the question, you know, price or payment? Anybody? The hardest question you're going to ask in this entire deal, the hardest, absolute hardest, will be, is this the window you want to put on your home over all others? Will be the hardest question you ask. And I'm not going to lie, it is tough. I know it is. It's tough. We just got to get used to doing it. But it is a tough question to ask.
To the muscle, when I was a river guide, we would, well, I would play this little game when we get back on the shuttle after the trip. And all the customers were there, and I'd stand up and I'd go, did you have a good time? And they all go, yeah. And I go, do you want to do it again? And I go, yeah. And I'm like, you're gonna take your guide, right? And they go, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the hardest question because it's the one everybody's afraid of getting a known answer to. So anyway, all right, listen, y'all be cool. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Study. Let's get to crushing doors and let's start selling some stuff out there. Let's start selling some stuff everywhere. Portland, Seattle, Cam, look, make a couple phone calls to the animal shelter. Get yourself a couple of those snow puppies. Hook them up to the little sled thing, like miniature Santa Claus, and you can skate around the neighborhood that way, dude.
Cam, you can borrow my 5 huskies. They'll do it.
5
Okay.
huskies.
Yeah, she's got 5 huskies, like Monique, Unique, you know.
Actually, they're all named after Game of Thrones. Winter, Ghost, Frost,
Oh, I love
Nymeria.
that.
Yeah,
yeah.
they're cool.
You know. All right, people. Peace. Everybody be good, be safe, take care of yourselves.
Thanks, Terry.
Bye. All right.
Unique New York.